Today, I have a 4-hour English masterclass for you. You'll expand your vocabulary of real-life English. You'll shadow my pronunciation so you sound fluent and natural. And you'll learn correct and advanced grammar naturally in context. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, in this masterclass, you'll learn and shadow full phrases you can use when you're at the market. So let's review the pronunciation. I'll say it slowly, and then you can repeat after me. Would you like a sample of our homemade goat cheese? Now I'll say it quickly. Would you like a sample of our homemade goat cheese? Would you like a sample? Would you? Would you? So notice that j sound. Would you? Would you like a? Like a? Would you like a? Would you like a sample? So sample is a noun. It's something. Yeah, in this case, hello to Brazil, Maria. Nice to have you here. And in this case, yes, you could say, would you like a piece of our homemade goat cheese? You absolutely can use that. Now, that only applies to this picture, whereas other samples, it may not be a piece. But in this context, absolutely, you can say that. Would you like a sample of our homemade goat cheese? So homemade is an adjective and it means, of course, they made it themselves. Okay, how about this one? So you're looking at the products in the market and then someone says to you, this honey is made right here in town. This honey is made right here in town. So they're letting you know it's local, local. This honey, so you can replace the word honey with whatever product you want, even the goat cheese in our past example. This honey, this honey, this honey is. So hold up that is, and then add is. This honey is made right here in town. Right here in town. So in town just represents the specific location you're in. So repeat after me. This honey is made right here in town. Yeah, you could say this honey is produced. If you use produce instead of made, you have to have the ed form because it's to be produced, because it's the passive voice. It's not the active voice. So this honey is produced right here in town. You could say that. Okay, let's try our next one. Oh, so you go up to one of these stalls and then you can ask them a question. So you might ask for a specific type of something, or you can ask about the ingredients. So in this case, you ask the vendor. The vendor is the person selling the products. You could say vendor. You could also say seller, the person selling the products. Vendor, seller. Do you have any sugar-free jam? So very easy question form. Do you have any jam? Do you have any jam? But what type of jam? So you're adding sugar-free as an adjective. Do you have any sugar-free jam? Do you have any? Do you have any? So hold on that v sound on have and take it to your next word. Have any? Have any? Do you have any? Do you have any? Repeat after me. Do you have any? Do you have any sugar-free jam? And then they'll say, yes, we do, and show you the options, or say, no, we don't. Sorry, no, we don't. And again, maybe show you the options as well. Okay, Tamara asked, can a producer be a vendor? Yeah, absolutely. So a producer is the person who produces the product. A vendor is the person who sells the product. So you can absolutely produce a product and then also sell that product. So yes, a producer can be a vendor. And generally at markets, that is
one of the main reasons why people like them, because you're buying directly from the producer. You're buying from the person who made the product, who produced it. That's not always the case, but that is one of the benefits of going to a market.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson.
Now, before we go on, I have this free speaking guide for you. In this guide, I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can go to my website and download it, and then you can save it to your computer, or you can print it and then you can read it and make some notes in it, or just have it as a nice book like I have it here. And also, if you're enjoying this lesson, if you want to learn natural vocabulary that you can use in your daily speech that natives use every single day, then put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments, like this lesson, and of course, subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And Maheen, yeah, you can ask, do you have any jam without sugar? You can just use, do you have jam? Do you have jam without sugar? So sugar-free jam is without sugar. It's free of sugar. So you absolutely can say that. Do you have any jam without sugar? Awesome. Azam's enjoying the lesson. Thomas, woohoo, Alexander, Sumita. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're enjoying the lessons. Yeah. Do you have any sugar-free jam? Exactly. Exactly. Awesome. And you rock, Jorge. Thank you so much. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Woohoo. Woohoo. All right. Hello, Naeem. Let's keep going with our next phrase. Okay, so maybe this lady who could be a vendor and who could also be a producer offers you a sample of her jam, her strawberry jam. Okay, and then you taste it. You taste it. And then you say to this lady, the strawberry jam tastes just like my grandmother's. Just like my grandmother's. That could be probably one of the best compliments you could give someone. Now, of course, we have this idea that our grandmothers make the best food and the best products. You could replace grandmother with mothers or aunts or some other person as well. It tastes just like my grandmother's. Now, notice there's an apostrophe S after grandmother. So when you say it in the plural, or when you say it in spoken English, it will sound like you're just saying the plural, grandmothers, grandmothers. Now, there's an apostrophe S because it's my grandmother's jam, my grandmother's strawberry jam. But because that's obvious based on the context, you don't need to include the word jam or strawberry jam. But you absolutely need the apostrophe S because you can't say tastes just like my grandmother. That would be weird. It's like saying you tasted your grandmother and the jam tastes like your grandmother. No, that doesn't make any sense. That's weird. So you absolutely need that apostrophe S. Otherwise, it will sound weird, like I said. Okay, now let's focus on the pronunciation. The strawberry jam, the strawberry jam, the strawberry jam tastes. Don't forget that S. Sometimes students don't pronounce the S, but that makes it sound like a grammar mistake because it needs that S to show as third person singular. The strawberry jam tastes just like my grandmother's, grandmother's, grandmother's with an S at the end. The strawberry jam tastes just like my grandmother's. Now, of course, you can say something, wow, the strawberry jam is delicious, is amazing. You can absolutely just say something like that. This is just a very nice compliment. Okay, Coma said the strawberry jam tastes as tasty as my grandmother's. Yes, you can absolutely use as tasty as. So as adjective as. Now, in English, we don't like using the same word, even if it is not exactly the same. I personally want to say taste as tasty as. I would say, wow, this strawberry jam is as tasty as my grandmother's. I would use the verb to be if you were using tasty as an adjective to avoid that double taste as tasty. Taste as tasty. It sounds repetitive, and native speakers, we generally don't like doing that. Okay. All right. Yeah, I like this, Natalia. Nothing can beat it. Nothing can beat my grandmother's strawberry jam. Nothing can beat my grandmother's strawberry jam. And I use this example because I bought some raspberry jam at a farmer's market on the weekend. I don't know why I didn't use raspberry jam, but I bought some raspberry jam and I tasted it and it was delicious. But I said, "Oh, it's good, but it's not as good as my grandmother's," because nothing will be, right? You have that memory of your grandmother's food and nothing can beat it. Nothing can beat it. Absolutely. Okay. How about this one? So you ask one of the vendors, do you have this spread in a smaller size? So spread just represents something, some sort of product that you spread on bread or on toast. It could be a jam, it could be a sauce, it could be a preserve. There are many different things it could be. It could be like a garlic aioli. It could be many different things. So spread is just a general term to refer to any product that you spread. So, assuming one of these products is a spread. Okay. So the verb is to spread. So when you have butter or jam and you go like this over your bread, you're spreading the butter and you want to do that evenly. You're spreading the butter or spreading the jam. So you see this container, this jar, but it's quite large. So you want to ask for it in a smaller size, in a smaller size. Or if you see a small one, you could ask for a larger size. Do you have this spread in a smaller size? Do you have this jam, this honey, this butter, whatever else it is? Do you have this spread in a smaller size? In a smaller size. So in a size and then smaller or larger. You could do the same thing if you're buying a shirt. Do you have this shirt in a smaller size? Do you have these shoes in a larger size? So you can use that as well. Do you have this spread in a smaller size? In a. So notice that pronunciation of in a. Repeat after me. In a, in a, in a. Do you have this spread in a smaller size? Do you have this spread? Do you? So notice how fast that do is. Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you have this? Do you have this? Repeat after me. Do you have this? Do you have this spread in a smaller size? And then they'll say yes or no. They'll show you the options. They'll show you what they have. Yeah, Kim, you can absolutely say, do you have this shirt in green? You don't like it in blue or red. Do you have this shirt in green? Now with clothes, you can be specific. Do you have this shirt in a small? In a small, in a large, in a size 8, in a size 12, whatever your size is. Do you have these shoes in a size 8? or whatever it is in a size, and then you have the number of the size in a size 8, in a size 42, whatever it is. Lokua said, "Excuse me, could you show me the smaller size?" Yeah, you could absolutely say that. Excuse me is a nice way to get the person's attention, especially since this man is not looking toward the public, toward the buyer. So if you say excuse me, he's going to hear you and turn around so you get his attention. So that's a very nice thing to add. Excuse me. Now, if you say, "Could you show me the smaller size?" you're assuming he has a smaller size. And that's absolutely fine to do that. Okay. Yeah. And you can ask them, "Is this spread homemade?" Excellent question. Is this spread homemade? Is this spread homemade? Very nice question. Absolutely. So you can't add with "yes, I have." You can use the auxiliary verb do. Okay. Do you have? So the answer would be yes, I do. Yes, I do. And with do, you don't have to add an object after it. So yes, I do. Now, if you use have, you have to provide the object. Yes, I have one. Yes, I have a smaller size. Yes, I have this spread in a smaller size would be the fullest form, which a native speaker would most likely not use. So if you want to use the short form, it's yes, I do. Yes, I do, because it's do you have? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay. All right. Awesome. Let's try another one. Oh, so someone asks, so someone Helena asks, "Is this spread homemade? Is this spread homemade?" Excellent question, Helena. Or you could ask the person, "Did you make these candles yourself? Did you make these candles yourself?" So the sign actually says Jen's homemade candles. I found these images on Google Images. I don't know who this person is. Jen's homemade candles. So maybe you don't know the person behind the counter. Is that Jen? Is that the Jen who made these candles? So you could ask, "Did you make these candles yourself?" Now, are these candles homemade? In this case, you wouldn't ask that question because it says homemade candles. So you already know the answer, but just because it says homemade, you don't know if the person you're talking to is the person who made the candles. So that's where this question comes in. Did you make these candles yourself? Now, you don't have to add yourself. You could just say, "Did you make these candles?" But it's very common to use yourself if you want to emphasize that it was the person's effort. So if you're serving someone a cake and they're like, "Wow, this cake is really delicious," you could say, "I made it myself. I made it myself." So you can just say, "I made it. I made it." But it's more common for a native speaker to add on the reflexive pronoun. So if it's she made it herself. My daughter made it herself. My husband made it himself. Okay, so it has to be reflexive. All right. Thank you very much for your generosity, Pyro Japan. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're enjoying the lesson. Okay. You don't need to add by yourself. Did you make these candles by yourself? So grammatically, that's correct, but it changes the meaning slightly. by yourself means without the assistance of anyone else. Okay, so in a classroom setting, they might say you have to complete this assignment by yourself. So without the assistance of your fellow classmates, for example. So it's not exactly the same question, it doesn't have the same meaning. About creating something, we generally just say, did you make these candles, this cake, this jewelry, whatever it is, yourself? Okay. Good question, though. All right. Yeah, exactly. Is the candle homemade? So you could pick one up. Is the candle homemade? And then Ma answered, yes, I made these candles myself. Very nice. That's exactly the right answer. All right. Let's keep going. Yes. Do you make these candles yourself? Yeah, okay. So you could say that, Mulaska. So notice my question is in the past simple because I'm referring to the candles on the table that I can see. And it's a completed past action because the candles are already made. Right. But if you ask, do you make these candles yourself? That is absolutely correct. And it makes sense because you're just asking about a routine behavior because these are not the only candles that Jen is ever going to make in her life. She's going to make candles tomorrow and the next day and next month and next year because that's her job, it seems. So you can absolutely use the present simple to talk about the routine nature of this activity. Yeah, great job. Okay, let's keep going. And Haley said, how did you make these candles yourself? Yeah. How did you make these candles? And in this case, you don't even need yourself in this cake, in this sentence. Just, oh, how did you make these candles? Can you explain the process? How did you make these candles? Yeah, you can absolutely say that. Okay. Let's keep going. How about this one. So you get to this stall and you're admiring one of these baskets. And then the seller, the vendor, the producer comes up and says to you, all of these baskets are woven by hand. All of these baskets are woven by hand. Okay, so here woven comes from the verb to weave. That's just a verb to represent how you make this specific item. So you sew. Okay, so sew is one verb. You can crochet, you can knit. Those are different verbs for different types of activities. So to weave is a form of creating products, to weave. Now, here it's to be woven, because you're not talking about the person doing the action, you're talking about the the action being completed. So all of these baskets are woven. Notice that pronunciation, woven, woven. So woven, 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 woven by hand. So by hand means that a machine was not used. Okay. So I can say I made this shirt, but I made this shirt by hand sounds like I did not use a sewing machine. I sewed it by hand. Okay. So that's why they're using by hand to let you know a machine was not used. So when you see this bag, you're like, wow, you admire it even more because of the amount of effort that went into producing it. Yeah, these baskets are pieces of art. What a beautiful thing to say. And that would definitely be a compliment to the seller, to the producer. And then you could ask, "Wow, did you make these baskets yourself? Did you make these baskets yourself?" Because all of these baskets are woven by hand. You don't know who did the action, who created this basket. So you can ask, "Wow, did you?" And then they might say, "Oh no, no, I didn't make them." And then they'll of course tell you who did make them. Oh, Francisco, I'm so glad you're joining for your first live class. This is the same time I go live every week, so hopefully you can join again in the future. All right. Yeah. And this is why people go to markets to enjoy the works of art produced by people by hand. Very nice. Yeah, you can absolutely say, "Did you make these candles on your own?" On your own. You can say that. I didn't make these candles. So this candle singular or these candles, I didn't make these candles, but my brother, it's incomplete. What do we need to say? But my brother, who knows? But my brother did. Did. You have to include that auxiliary verb. I didn't make these candles, but my brother did. Now, if you don't want to use did, you can say, but my brother made them. So you can't just say, but my brother made. That's incomplete because you make something. But my brother made them, but my brother did. Okay, so those are your two options. I know these baskets are beautiful. I hope I see them soon at a market because I'd love a basket like this. They are just so beautiful. Exactly. I didn't make them, I just sell them. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Oh, do you have this kind of basket in a smaller size? What a great question, Azam. Yes, in a smaller size, in a larger size, in purple. So you might ask about a solid color. Do you have this kind of basket in purple, in green, in blue, whatever your preference is? Very nice. Yes. No, my sister did. Exactly. Exactly. No, my sister did. Yes. Well, thank you, Egypt. I love Egypt. Egypt is one of those places in my mind that I just absolutely want to see one day. Okay, let's keep going. How about this one? This jewelry is really beautiful. Do you have a website? Okay, so you're talking to the person. Maybe you've already asked her if she makes the jewelry herself, if it's handmade. And then you want to know, do you have a website? Maybe you don't want to buy anything today, but you want to buy something in the future, or you want to share it with your friends, send it to your mother, your sister, whoever else. This jewelry is beautiful. Now, notice it's this jewelry. That's because jewelry is uncountable. So we don't have it in the plural form. If you want to use the plural form, you can talk about individual pieces. So earrings can be plural, rings can be plural, necklaces, bracelets, all of the items can be plural. So you can say, wow, these necklaces are beautiful. These. But if you're using jewelry, which is the term to refer to everything, it's always singular. So that's why we have this. This jewelry is really beautiful. Do you have a website? Do you have a website? Do you have a website? And then she'll explain where you can buy her items on her website or wherever else. Yes, exactly. You want to see all the items available on the website. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, you can see pieces of jewelry. Absolutely, Francisco. So if you want to make jewelry plural, you don't make the word jewelry, you add a quantifier, a unit of measurement. So, how do you measure jewelry? You use the word piece. So, this piece of jewelry is one item. So, one ring, one set of earrings, because earrings come in a pair. So, you would say set of earrings, okay, or pair of earrings. You could say that as well. So the word piece is what is plural. These pieces, these, the plural, these pieces of jewelry. So jewelry is still singular and you use of. Now your verb is are, because your verb is being conjugated with pieces. These pieces of jewelry are beautiful. Now, if you're looking at jewelry, you don't even have to say jewelry. You could just say, wow, these pieces are beautiful. These pieces are beautiful. And then it's just obvious that you're talking about jewelry because you're looking at it right there. Jewelry and rural are the hardest words to pronounce. I agree with you there. Squirrel, maybe you can add squirrel to your list. It's kind of like rural. Even I don't like saying rural. It's just like a very harsh sound in your mouth. Okay. Yes, absolutely. You can ask about the price. How much is this jewelry? Now, just remember that jewelry is an umbrella term, which means it represents every item. And most likely, there are different prices for different items. It's not like every item on the table is $20, although that's possible. That is possible. So you might be more specific and say, how much is this necklace or this ring or this item? You can use the word item, or this piece of jewelry. So you may be more specific because you would be asking about everything, but you're assuming there's only one price, which likely isn't the case. Okay. All right, everyone. Ivan, excellent question. Now, the awe doesn't belong to jewelry. The awe belongs to peace. So I want to buy a piece of jewelry, because you can't say I want to buy a jewelry. You cannot say that. So you would say, I'm just putting it in the chat. I want to buy a piece of jewelry, but the article a belongs to piece. It does not belong to jewelry. So you would not say, I want to buy a jewelry. No, that's grammatically incorrect. I want to buy some jewelry. I want to buy a ring, a pair of earrings, for example. Okay. How much is this ring? Exactly, exactly. How much is this ring? Exactly. It's uncountable. Very nice. Yes. Jewelry is uncountable because it's a term that refers to all the pieces, but the term jewelry is uncountable. All right. Great questions, everyone. Let's keep going. Oh, my favorite part of a market is the baked goods. So that's an umbrella term as well. Baked goods. Baked goods refers to things you find in a bakery: bread, muffins, cookies, croissants. Oh, that's my weak spot. Okay, so baked goods, this is an example. A muffin is an example. So maybe this person you're walking by and you say, "Ooh, that muffin looks delicious." And then she says, "These muffins were baked fresh this morning." So she's trying to tempt you to buy one of the muffins. She's a good salesperson. These muffins, because there's more than one, so it's plural, these muffins were baked fresh. So to be baked. And then fresh means that you can say these muffins were baked this morning. Okay. Adding the word fresh just emphasizes that they were made from scratch. So it wasn't a frozen muffin, it wasn't pre-made and then warmed up this morning. It turned from the dough to the solid form this morning. So we use this a lot with coffee as well. You could say this coffee was made fresh at 8 a.m. and that was a short while ago. So you know the coffee is fresh. So that's a common thing to say. Can you make muffins on my birthday? Well, I don't know how to make anything. So you don't want me to make muffins, but I can buy you some muffins. I'm good at that. I'm good at buying muffins. So sure, I'll buy you some muffins on your birthday. Okay. And maybe they're giving some samples. So they have one muffin and then they just chop it up or tear it up into smaller pieces. And then you have a little toothpick or something. And then you can try a sample of this delicious muffin. All right. Yes, exactly. I love fresh baked muffins. Very nice. Very nice. Ooh, what kind of flavors do you have? Exactly. It looks like there's a lot of different flavors. Very nice. Oh, thank you so much, Koma. That's so sweet of you. And I really appreciate you showing up. I recognize your name. You always participate. And I love that. Thank you so much. Sure, I'll buy you a lot of muffins. I know a spot that makes amazing croissants, and I would love to buy everyone one of their croissants. Okay. How about this? So, on one of these signs, I don't know if you can read this, it's pretty small, but the first one is chocolate chip muffins. So there's a double it's chocolate chip muffins. They wrote chocolate twice, but notice they just wrote CHOC period. That's the short form for chocolate because chocolate's a long word and it won't fit on this little card. So they shortened it to just chocolate. But when I see it, I'm still going to say the full word. So I wouldn't say chalk chip muffin. Even though I see it's CHOC, I'm going to pronounce it as chocolate chip muffins. So they're emphasizing how much chocolate is in there. Oh, and thank you so much, Francisco. Okay, so chocolate chip muffins. Then we have corn muffins. Have you ever had a corn muffin? And then banana nut muffin and a bran muffin. So, which one would you choose? There are four options, and you can just put your number 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can say the name. Now, I don't really like sweet things. I like more savory things. So I would go for the corn muffin because I think it would be more savory, which savory is not sweet. It's more salty or things like that, buttery, salty. That would be savory. But maybe I don't like nuts or I'm allergic to nuts. So I can ask, are the corn muffins? Now I'm using the plural muffins because I'm talking about the category muffins. So are the corn muffins nut free? Nut free. So is something or are with a plural something, and then nut free, sugar free, gluten free, lactose free, dairy free, whatever you don't want in that muffin. Okay. Jorge wants the banana nut muffin. Sylvia wants the chocolate chip. Banana nut, that sounds pretty good for sure. Mahim wants the corn muffin, banana nut. Ooh, awesome. Yeah, exactly. You might say because I'm allergic, because then they know, oh, this is serious. So I have to make sure there are no nuts. Chocolate chip. All right, everyone. Yeah, I think so. I don't know what a corn muffin is, but I would say it's made from corn flour. You're not going to have probably chunks of corn in it. I would say it's made from corn flour. Okay. Awesome, everyone. Ooh. You've had corn muffins before? I've had corn bread, which is very common in the southern US, like Texas, Kentucky, Alabama. Cornbread is very common and it's delicious. Okay, so that could be a great question. Now, you see these beautiful pies. Now, you either want to buy a whole pie, but you only want to eat one piece, or you want to buy more than one pie and save them for later. So you could ask the person, how well do these pies freeze? How well do these pies freeze? Now, notice I'm not asking, do these pies freeze? If you say how well, you're assuming that the verb can take place. So if I say, how well can you play tennis? I'm assuming you can play tennis, but I don't know the degree. Are you a beginner, intermediate, advanced? So if I say how well, I'm asking about your level. Now, in this case, how well do these pies freeze? I want to know after I take them out of the freezer. So, freeze is because I want to preserve them in the freezer for a longer period of time, maybe 1 month, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks. So, a longer period of time. Now, the person might say, oh, they freeze really well. They can stay in your freezer up to 3 months, for example. Or they might say, actually, they don't freeze very well because there's so much butter in them. So the crust may become soggy, for example. So they may give you a reason why you shouldn't freeze them. So, how well do these pies freeze? And you can use this for any item that you buy at the market: cookies, muffins, even some spread, soup, things like that. Okay. So you would say, excellent job, Helena. And for an activity that you actually do, I'm playing tennis right now, if you didn't know. For an activity that you do, you can say, I'm great at playing tennis. But for this case, I wouldn't say the pies are great at freezing because it sounds like the pies are doing the action, like they have some role in the action, but that's not the case. So you would say they freeze really well, or you could use a different adjective, but I would use they and then I would use the verb freeze. They freeze really well. Okay, good question. Or I'm glad you mentioned that. Ah, I was waiting for someone to ask about this. Soggy. So imagine you have a piece of bread and you accidentally spill some water on it. Okay. And you pick up that piece of bread and It's covered in water. What's the texture of the bread? Soggy. That's the texture of the bread. So it's when something goes from a more solid state to a more liquid state. So pie, when you eat it fresh, the crust is flaky and maybe even a little crusty in a positive way. But when you freeze it, it retains moisture. So water will enter the pie when you put it in the freezer. So just like you spilling that piece of, or you spilling your water on that piece of bread, you can imagine the same thing happening to your pie. So you don't want your pie to be soggy. That's not a positive adjective to describe food. Okay. Yeah, exactly. It retains moisture. Mhm. Soggy. Soggy. It's like I'm in a spelling competition. Ah, exactly. So you could buy it now and then you save it for a special occasion like Thanksgiving. I may make them now and freeze them, not have them freeze and freeze them. Exactly. Nicely done. All right. Okay, how about this? Oh, wow. I've never had beet pie before. What's it like? What's it like? Did you notice the names of these pies? The middle one is beet. I have personally never seen a beet pie before. Have you? So I can't read all of these. On the far left, we have blueberry. And then we have something pecan. I don't know what the first word is. I can't read this one. Something cream, beet, carrot, coconut. I don't think I've ever heard of carrot and coconut being together. And sweet corn custard. Another corn, sweet corn custard. This must be from the southern US. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So if you say, what's it like? It means, what does it taste like? What does it taste like? So, what's it like? What's beet pie like? And then the person will describe it and say, well, it's quite sweet. And I don't know how to describe beet pie because I've never had beet pie, but beets are very sweet. So you might say it's quite sweet. I don't know. I don't know how to describe beet pie. That's all I got. It's quite sweet. Okay. Yes, beet is a vegetable. It's a delicious vegetable. I love beets. I've never had it in a pie though. Okay. So that you can ask this with anything. What's it like? What's it like? You can say, the carrot coconut pie sounds interesting. What's it like? What's it like? So, what does it taste like? And then they'll describe it. Use adjectives to describe food and they'll just describe it. Yeah, we just call it beet. So we call them beets. You would say, what does it taste like? Not how does it taste? How does it taste? What does it taste like? What does it taste like? Number two is lemon, berry, peach. Wow, you could read that? Awesome. Awesome job. Thank you. Oh, that's peach. I said pecan. Ah, lemon, berry, peach. Good job. You have good eyes. I need to go for an eye exam, apparently. Okay. Let's keep going. So you want to buy some bread, and then you ask them, can you slice the bread for me? Can you slice the bread for me? Now, if you have the bread in your hands, or you just said, I'll have the sourdough, and it's obvious, then you can use it. You can always use it as the replacement when it's obvious. Can you slice the bread for me? Can you slice it? Slice it. So notice if you use it and you have slice, you would link them together. Slice it. Slice it. Can you slice it for me? Can you slice it for me? So if they have a loaf of bread, loaf is the quantifier, the unit of measurement, loaf of bread. Now, it can be sliced or unsliced. And sliced is when you have the individual pieces. Unsliced, you have to take off a piece. I always ask for it sliced because I freeze it. I freeze it. I freeze the bread because I don't eat a lot of bread and it will go bad if I don't freeze it. Okay, how about this? So you're at this bread vendor and you say, "Oh, I'll have a loaf of sourdough." You could just say, "I'll have the sourdough bread." Now, you can use the quantifier and say a loaf. A represents one. I'll have a loaf of sourdough. Sourdough is a type of bread. It's the artisan bread that's the most common to find at farmers markets, at least in my local area. It could be totally different where you are. And then they say, "Oh, sorry, we're sold out of sourdough." This happens a lot. My favorite bakery always sells out of sourdough. So we are sold out of, which means they sold all the sourdough. They have 0 loaves left. Okay. "Oh, sorry, we're sold out of sourdough. We're sold out of sourdough. But we have rye left." Ugh, nobody wants rye bread. Rye is a type of bread that isn't as popular as sourdough. So, of course, they have rye bread because it's not the best. Okay, so they might say that even when you're buying your favorite muffins. "Oh, sorry, we sold out of the corn muffins, but we have beet muffins left." And left means remaining. It means they still have beet muffins or corn muffins, whatever. Yeah. Sourdough. It's just a type of bread. You'll have to Google it. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's a type of bread. If someone else wants to try to explain what sourdough is, feel free. Okay, I like this. I will try the rye one then. I like that. I like how you added then at the end. That's a very natural thing to do. Definitely sounds like a native. Rye is a type of bread. It's made from rye, which is a grain. So you have wheat, which is a grain, and then you have rye, which is a type of grain. Rye bread is good. Um, it's it's a little denser. It's more flavorful. It has more of a distinct flavor. But rye bread is good. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Sourdough, it does. It has a sour taste to it, a mild sour taste to it. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you for explaining that. So, sourdough is made from, they ferment part of the dough before they make the entire loaf. So you get a little bit of a sour taste, but it's not like drinking vinegar or anything like that. Nothing like that. Yeah, cornbread is so delicious. I agree. Exactly. Rye is a type of grain. Yeah. Okay. So this might happen where they say, we're sold out of, we're sold out of, we're sold out of. Yes, natural fermentation. Look at you. Okay, so another part of markets is the food, the prepared food. So, not just taking jam to eat at home or a loaf of bread to eat at home, it's buying prepared food and eating it there. So, you see this food truck. That's what this is called, a food truck. And they sell like fast food, but it's usually more artisan. They might make certain products themselves, for example. So there's this big line of people in line to buy whatever this food truck sells. So you get to the back of the line, and then you say, this line is crazy. The food must be good. The food must be good. This line is crazy. So describing it as crazy here, it represents that it's long, it's longer than all the other food trucks, for example. It's longer than you expect. So this line is crazy. This line is crazy. The food must be good. Must be good. So notice must is our modal, and then you have your base verb. This line is crazy. The food must be good. The food must be good. All right. Yeah, you could use a different adjective. It must be delicious. It must be so delicious. You can absolutely use that as well. This line is packed, or this food truck's line is packed. So food needs to come before line because you're using it as an adjective. Yeah. The food must be delicious. Yeah, their specialty is awesome. I love that. I love that. Their specialty is awesome. So their specialty, maybe they're famous for grilled cheese sandwiches made with homemade sourdough and homemade cheese. Maybe that's their specialty. So their specialty is what they're known for. Okay. Now, you finally get your food and you say, that pita was definitely worth the wait. So whatever they sell at this food truck, so maybe it was that sourdough grilled cheese with fresh goat cheese, or in this case, it was a pita. That pita was definitely worth the wait. Worth the wait. So it means the time spent was positive because the benefit or the final result was positive and more than the amount of time you waited. That pita was definitely worth the wait. That pita was definitely worth the wait. Okay, so to be worth and then something, the wait. You could say that pita was definitely worth it. You could use it as well. And then if you wanted to use a verb, you would have to use the ing form. So you would say that pita was definitely worth waiting for. Waiting for. So if you want to use wait as a verb, you need the ing. That pita was definitely worth waiting for. It was delicious. It was mouthwatering. It was the best pita I've ever had.
Amazing job. Let's keep going with food vocabulary, and you'll learn phrases you can use when you're ordering breakfast.
So here are just some useful phrases. In a restaurant, the server, the waiter, waitress, server is gender neutral. They could ask you, how do you take your eggs? So if you order a dish that comes with eggs, you have to specify what type. So they can use the verb take. How do you take your eggs? They could also say, how would you like your eggs? How would you like your eggs? This is how would you like your eggs prepared, but often they'll just say, how would you like your eggs? Or how do you like your eggs? So this one is just a little more casual. This one is a little more formal, polite because it uses would. How do you like your eggs? And then if you're ordering, you can say, I'll have the breakfast special. And then if you know the item comes with eggs, you can say with, and then whatever your choice is. So with scrambled eggs, with sunny side up eggs, with poached eggs, with over easy eggs, for example. Okay, so now you know your egg vocabulary. What about this? Do you know the name of this item? So in North America, we love brunch on weekends, particularly. It's very common to go for brunch with your family, with your friends. And this is the delicacy. This is the most common brunch item in North America. But this is considered a special item. So it's not something we have every day for breakfast. It's more of a specialty brunch item. Do you know what this is called? Does anyone know what this is called? There's the traditional name for this, and then there is the casual name for this that you can see on menus. So I'll share both of those with you. And then also, do you know what this is called? But do you know what the ingredients are? Can you name any of these ingredients, or can you name all of these ingredients? What do you think? Anyone know? I see one of the ingredients someone has. You're right. It is on an English muffin. Muffin, your spelling of muffin is incorrect, but English muffin, that's correct. That's what we have on the bottom. Rita has no clue. Oh, really? This is what you would order for brunch in North America. For sure, for sure. You must order this. It is absolutely delicious. And nobody knows. Wow. Okay. Haven't the slightest idea. Well, at least you can practice your vocabulary for saying you don't know. So that's good. This is called, I'm really surprised nobody knows, Eggs Benedict. Eggs Benedict. Okay. But you can shorten this and call it Eggs Benny. So this is a trendy, cool way to say it. So on menus, you'll see a category called Eggs Benny. That is Eggs Benedict. It's just the shortened form of it. So we have the classic Eggs Benedict, which is in the middle. This is ham. You can also get it with smoked salmon, or you can get a vegetarian version, which comes with spinach. The other ingredients are the same. So it's a soft poached egg. That's why I showed you the inside, because it's always soft egg yolks. Okay, that's an important part of Egg Benedict. Soft poached egg on an English muffin topped with hollandaise. 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 So what is hollandaise sauce? That's the yellow sauce you see on top. It's egg yolks, butter, lemon, paprika, and salt. That's the ingredient of it. So this is a very luxurious, a very decadent brunch item that's common to have on special occasions or on weekends. All right, let's move on to other breakfast items. Can you name all four? This should be easy for you. These are traditional breakfast items, probably around the world. And definitely in North America, we love all of these items. Which one is your favorite? Can you name them all? Well, of course, we know number one is pancakes. Pancakes. Now, it's interesting because in some places you might call them American pancakes, but of course, we just call them pancakes. Okay, yes, we have waffle. What number is waffle? And then what about number two? Do you know this one? And what about number three? Maybe those are not as obvious. Okay. So we have pancakes, of course, crepes, crepes, French toast, and waffles. Pancakes and waffles are definitely the most common. Crepes are becoming more common. They're considered a more elegant item. Sometimes they're more of a dessert item because they're often filled with chocolate, and you can find them just for dessert. Notice this pronunciation: crepes, crepes, crepes. And then French toast. Do you know this one? So we call it French toast, not just toast, French toast. But of course, we wouldn't call them American pancakes. We just call them pancakes in North America. Okay, which is your favorite? If you had to choose only one, which one would you choose? 1, 2, 3, 4. I would choose number 1 for sure. But of course, I have pancakes with maple syrup. You can't have pancakes without maple syrup. So which one would you choose? Okay, these are your more average breakfast items. So I had one of these for breakfast today. And I have one of these for breakfast every single day. So these are your more daily breakfast items. And then these are generally more weekend, holiday, special occasion breakfast items. And these are everyday breakfast items. So do you know the names of any of these? Yes, we definitely have cereal as number 1. This is the category. There are many, many different types of cereal. This is the category. Okay. And number 3, yes, yogurt. This looks like plain yogurt. You can add toppings to your yogurt. Just like number 2, there are toppings added to the dish. Yeah, and you're right. Ganache, oats, oats. Now, when you cook the oats, though, there's a name for this. So, oats is the uncooked version. Oats is the uncooked ingredient, and then it turns into number 2, which is what I eat for breakfast every single day. Pretty boring, but it's nutritious and filling. And it's oatmeal. Oatmeal. So, oatmeal is made from oats. You cook the oats in water, add some cinnamon, put some fruit on top, and you have a healthy, delicious meal. So, cereal, oatmeal, yogurt. And then number 4 is called a parfait. You can just call it a parfait. Notice that pronunciation, the T is not pronounced. So it ends on a fay, a parfait, parfait. You may also call it a fruit and yogurt parfait. It's possible on a menu, they call it a fruit and yogurt parfait, or you can just call it parfait, parfait. So it's layers of fresh fruit, granola, and yogurt. So that's a parfait. All right, Hidaki, welcome, welcome. No worries about being late. So share what's your favorite breakfast item from this list. Share that here. Yeah. So number 2, you can also call it porridge, porridge. But oatmeal is the more common word, but porridge is an alternative. Now, rapid fire, rapid fire. So what do we have? 3, 6, 9. We have 12 different types of fruit. Can you name them all? I will give you 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Start typing, type in as many as you know. And let's see. Let's see if you know any of these or all of these. And what's your favorite fruit? Are any of these not available for purchase in your country, or maybe they import them in, so they're extremely expensive if you do see them? These are all commonly available in grocery stores in North America, which is why I chose them. We do also get exotic fruit. Pineapple would be considered a more exotic fruit in North America, but it is a very common breakfast fruit still. So I included it on the list. But because it's an imported item, pineapples are quite expensive. Mostly everything else is available in North America at a relatively cheap price, I would say, although these items might be considered specialty items in your country. Okay, so we have a lot of answers here. Woohoo! We know them all. So let's review the pronunciation together just to make sure you know them all. So pear, repeat after me as well. Pear, raspberry, watermelon, strawberry. Now, for the berries, I'm putting them in the singular, but often for berries, you would use the plural. Would you like some raspberries? Raspberries. So notice that P is not pronounced. Raspberries, raspberries. And there's more of a Z, raspberries, raspberries, raspberries. Because you wouldn't just have one, right? But you would have one pair. So just notice some of these are more common in the singular, others in plural. So pear, raspberry, raspberries, watermelon, strawberry, strawberries, pineapple, pineapple, orange, orange, grapes, same thing, most common in the plural, grapes, grapes, blueberries, blueberries, banana, apple, cherries, cherries, also most common in the plural, and kiwi, 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 kiwi. So which one is your favorite out of the list? Now, I have a banana every day for breakfast. It's not my favorite, but I guess it's just an easy fruit to eat. If I had to choose only one, probably, raspberries are so delicious. Cherries, for me, are a little more exotic because they're only produced one time a year at least, where they're available in the grocery store. So it's always exciting to get cherries because they only come once per summer. So I always look forward to cherry season. Okay, let's move on to lunch. Are you ready for lunch? Maybe. And you're right. Kiwis are from New Zealand, but they are very commonly eaten in North America, which is interesting. And they're not very expensive either. Okay, let's move on to lunch. Lunch, lunch. Here we go. What do we have here? So these are common salads for lunch. You could make them at home. You can also order them in restaurants. So, do you know the names of any of these salads? If you wanted to order this salad, number one, and you saw the picture of it, you could point at the picture and say, I'll have this salad, or you could order it by name. Oh, and you're right, Rita. I totally forgot about peaches. Peaches are very common for sure, and they are delicious. Yes. I forgot about that one. Okay, so anyone know the names of these salads? Oh, okay, we have some good salad choices for sure, for sure. Oh, and who knows how to pronounce this and what number is this? All right, so we have number one is Caesar. Caesar. So notice that A at the beginning isn't pronounced. So it's Caesar, Caesar, Caesar salad. This is one of the most common salads because it's delicious and doesn't really taste like a salad. So Caesar salad. Number two is called a Cobb salad. So this is a salad with the main ingredients are usually chicken and egg. There's always chicken and egg. Blue cheese is in the corner here. And then lots of other ingredients. So you could call this a hearty A hearty salad. So if you're hungry and you want a full meal, but in the form of a salad, a Cobb salad is a good choice. So it's a hearty salad compared to number three, which is often eaten as an appetizer before a meal, or it could just be your meal if you have it as a larger size. So we call this a green salad. Yes, I know not all the ingredients are green. Tomatoes almost always come in a green salad. I know, not all the ingredients are green, but for some reason, we call this a green salad. It's also commonly called a house salad. A house salad. Okay, so either one, green salad, house salad. And then number four is a quinoa, quinoa salad. So quinoa is a grain, and then you can add whatever chopped vegetables you want in the quinoa salad, but a large part is the grain, the quinoa. So, which one would you choose if you had to eat only one of these salads for lunch? Which one would you choose? I eat number three every day for lunch with a hard or a soft boiled egg, with a soft boiled egg. That is my lunch every single day. And you're right, Manuel. I agree. Oh no, where was your other comment about avocado? That's so true. I love avocado in salads. It makes it heartier, and avocados are very healthy. They have a healthy fat in them and they're delicious. The creaminess, they are delicious. Okay. So what's your favorite salad? Let's move on. You can have a salad, and it's also very common to have a sandwich. Now, these are sandwiches that, although Americans, we could make these at home, most of the time, these are sandwiches that we would order in restaurants. Although you can absolutely make these at home as well. And for lunch, probably in your country as well, it's very common to have salad and sandwich, or soup and sandwich. And you might even just get half a sandwich and half a salad. Okay, so that's a very common lunch. So, what about these sandwiches? Do you know the names of any of these sandwiches? Oh, I see one of the names already. That's awesome. Number one, do you even know what these ingredients are? And if you don't know the names, that's okay. Do you know any of the main ingredients? So, number two, what do you see here? This is a fun name for a sandwich. Number three is the American sandwich. This is what you will always find every single menu, every single diner, every single restaurant. This is the American sandwich for sure. And then number four is very, very common as well. All right. Well, I don't see a lot of names of these sandwiches, which is awesome. I'm glad you don't know them because I can teach them to you. So let's see. Now, these are the names you would see on a menu. Now, often you could see the name and then they may tell you the ingredients underneath, but they may not because they assume you know what the ingredients are. Number one is a Reuben. 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 So the meat is corned beef. Corned beef. So this is a cured beef. The cheese is Swiss cheese, and it comes with sauerkraut, which is fermented cabbage, and then Thousand Island dressing. So it's a type of dressing. So it's like mayo, but it's not mayo, it's Thousand Island dressing. So it's the sauce on the sandwich. So these ingredients make up a Reuben. So on a menu, you'll just see Reuben. They may tell you what's in it, but they may just say Reuben. Okay, number two, a BLT. The B stands for bacon, the L stands for lettuce, and the T stands for tomato. BLT is bacon, lettuce, tomato. BLT. Now, they also put mayo on it. And then, of course, there's the bread. So those two ingredients, the mayo and the bread, aren't stated in the name, but they're with it as well. BLT, BLT. Okay, you should definitely know what a BLT is if you plan to come to North America. And you absolutely must know what a club sandwich. They might call it a turkey club or they might call it a chicken club because it is possible to get chicken, but a standard club comes with turkey. So it's turkey and then BLT. What's BLT? Is bacon, lettuce, tomato. And then mayo is the sauce. But what makes a club is the fact that there are 3 slices of bread. So there's the bottom slice, and then the layer of turkey, BLT, the middle slice, and then another layer of turkey, BLT, and then the top slice. And it's always served with a big toothpick through it. All right. And then number 4 is a tuna melt. So tuna mixed with vegetables, so such as celery, onions, those are the most common, and then mayo as well. And then you might put a slice of tomato, and then you might put some other vegetables, and then melted cheese. That's the melt part, is there's melted cheese on the tuna melt. You could just get a tuna sandwich. So if they say melt, it means there's melted cheese. If you just see tuna sandwich, then there's no cheese. You might just ask for them to put on cheese if you want cheese. Okay. Awesome. So mayo is mayonnaise. We don't call it mayonnaise. We call it mayo. So do you know what mayonnaise is? If you don't know what mayonnaise is, it's the most common sauce. It's made from egg yolks and oil and maybe some garlic, and then they blend it until it's smooth and creamy. So it's a rich sauce, but it's mayonnaise. So yeah, this is an interesting point. In North America, we shorten words all the time. Like we don't call a bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwich. We call it a BLT. So we call mayonnaise mayo. Always mayo. Don't order mayonnaise, order mayo. Mayo. That's what we say. Okay. All right. Now, this is a classic American lunch. You can order this in a restaurant and it's very common to make this at home as well. So what is this? If you wanted to order this in a restaurant, what would you say? All right. Who knows? Who knows? Oh, and is this the ingredients of mayo, egg, oil, garlic, salt, and vinegar? Oh, that sounds good. Vinegar is in mayo. I did not know that. Interesting. Interesting. All right. So who knows what the name of this dish is? If you saw the picture of it and you said, I'll have this, you can point or you can vocalize it and say, I'll have, I'll have what? I see part of the answer. Very nice. No, it's not pumpkin soup. Definitely not pumpkin soup. Pumpkin soup is seasonal, so it is eaten in fall, which you might also call autumn, but in North America, we call it fall. So it's a seasonal soup. It's not a classic soup. Classic is all times, all ages, all places is this soup. Yes, tomato soup for sure. For sure. So this is the classic American lunch, grilled cheese and tomato soup. So the sandwich is called a grilled cheese sandwich. It's just bread and cheese, and then it's cooked on the grill with butter, and the cheese has to be really melted, and the bread has to become toast. And then tomato soup. Cream of tomato, but we just call it tomato soup. So tomato soup is the classic American soup. You will find tomato soup on most menus. You will find a can of tomato soup in every single household in North America, for sure. Tomato soup. Okay. Dinner. Let's move on to dinner. Is this the ingredients of mayo? Egg yolk, mustard, lemon, oil. That sounds right. That sounds right. Mustard? I wonder. Who knows how mayo is made? Okay. Dinner time, everyone. Dinner time. Let's see. Of course, you know what a hamburger is. I'm not teaching you vocabulary that I know you know. You know what a hamburger is. You know what pizza is. I'm not going to teach you that. Do you know these ground beef dinners? So the main ingredient in hamburger, the burger, is made from ground beef. Ground beef. Okay. So you just take a piece of beef and you grind it in a meat grinder and it becomes ground beef. And then you can take that beef and you can make other dinners. These are 4 very common dinners to have with ground beef. They're not hamburgers, they each have a name. Do you know the names of these classic ground beef dinners? Lasagna is a very common one. Spaghetti, of course, very common. I didn't teach you these because they're very common. Oh, I see one of the answers already. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I see 2 of the answers already. Okay, okay. 3 of the answers. 3 of the answers. Does anyone know what number 2 is? So there's a name for it. I will give you a hint. The name contains the name of a man in North America. So one of the most common North American names for a man. Number 2 contains that name. Hopefully that's a good hint, a clue, a hint. So do you know what these ground beef dinners are? I ate all of these as a kid growing up. They were very common. And they're everyday dinners. They're not fancy. They're just regular, everyday, fast, easy to make dinners. Okay, so we have shepherd's pie, sloppy Joe, sloppy. The word sloppy is another word for messy. So if I'm eating it, what's going to happen? It's going to be all over my face, all over my hands, all over my shirt. So it's messy to eat. Sloppy is another word for messy. Sloppy, sloppy. And Joe is a name we use to mean average. The average American sandwich. Sloppy Joe, sloppy Joe. 3 is meatloaf, meatloaf. And 4 is chili, chili, chili. So these are the 4 most common ground beef dinners. They all contain ground beef. What is on top of shepherd's pie? Do you know? So at the bottom, we have ground beef, and then it's mixed with vegetables, carrots, onions, peas, usually, maybe green beans. So vegetables, and then it's topped with mashed potatoes, maybe a little bit of cheese, and then it's baked in the oven. A sloppy Joe is with a lot of sauce, maybe barbecue sauce or ketchup. To be honest, I've never made a sloppy Joe. I don't really like them. So I don't know what the sauce is. I think it's either barbecue sauce or ketchup or a combination of barbecue sauce and ketchup. And then loose ground beef in a burger bun. Number 4, it's you take the ground beef and you form it into a loaf. A loaf. So think like a bread loaf. That's the shape of it. So it's formed and pressed, and then you cut it in slices. And then chili, of course, it's chili. You can think of it as a stew or a very thick, hearty soup, and it has a lot of vegetables, beans. It might be a little bit spicy, a lot of seasonings as well. Okay. So Stefania informed us that Cartman loves sloppy joes. I can see that because sloppy joes are very common for kids. To be honest, I don't know if I'm sure adults like sloppy joes as well, but I ate them as a kid. I don't think many adults eat sloppy joes. It's certainly possible, but I think it's more for kids. Okay. Now, this is an average American dinner. You have this on a Monday, a Wednesday. It's not fancy. It's just an average dinner. Can you name any or all of the ingredients in this dinner? What do you think? Can you name any of them? Well, I'm sure you can name some of them. What about the yellow log? What is that called? Of course it's corn, but you can't just say I'll have the corn. You would have to be specific. So there's a name for this. It's not just corn. There's a longer name. Okay? So it's not corn. There's a name for this. Does anyone know? But of course, we do have mashed. So the spelling is ED at the end, mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes. Okay, so this is close, but the preposition is wrong. It's not corn in the cob. Oh, no, sorry. And the word order is wrong as well. So you have some of the words, but not all of the words. But close, close. Yes, mashed. Notice the pronunciation with a T. Mashed, 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 mashed potato, mashed potato. Okay, so nobody knew. We call this corn on the cob. So it's not just corn. If I think corn, I think the individual kernels on a plate. This is called corn on the cob. Corn on the cob. Okay, so if someone's going to the grocery store, I would say, oh, can you pick up some corn on the cob? Corn on the cob. Because corn would just be the individual kernels. Corn on the cob. And then we would just call this a salad. Mashed potatoes with gravy. Mashed potatoes with gravy. Make sure you get that ED pronunciation as T. Mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes with gravy. And then roasted chicken. You can just call this chicken or roasted chicken. It's just how they cook it. Okay. Let's go. This is a fancier dinner. So it's very common for families to get together on Sunday. It doesn't have to be Sunday. Some families may choose to do it on Friday or Saturday. So other days are common for sure, but Sunday is probably the most common day for a nice family dinner. So this is a fancier dinner, which means it's more expensive and it takes longer to make. So it's generally eaten on special occasions or once a week with the family. Okay, so what are the individual items? Does anyone know what any of these items are? What is the meat here? Does anyone know what the meat is called? I'm sure you know some of the ingredients. Ah, very nice. Roast beef. Roast beef. Very good. Yeah, so it is a slice of beef, but beef, there are so many different types of beef in North America. So we call this roast beef. Roast beef. Exactly. Roast beef. Roast beef. Very good. Very good. So we have roast beef, roasted potatoes. So roasted potatoes, it's more time consuming than making mashed potatoes, but it's considered a more elegant potato in North America. So roasted potatoes, some sort of vegetable, carrots. It looks like there's also maybe this could be a different slice of carrot. It could be a parsnip as well. I'm not sure. Salad. And then this is called Yorkshire pudding. Yorkshire pudding. So it's an alternative to having bread with your dinner. So it is similar to bread, but the texture is a little bit different. It's fluffier. I don't know what the ingredients of Yorkshire pudding are, to be honest, but this is what my dad would make on Sunday dinner to be a little fancy, a little more sophisticated. Okay. So, have you had this dinner before? Now, this could be a non meat dinner. I'm sure you know what these ingredients are. Generally, in North America, once per week, families will aim to have a non meat dinner. Keep in mind, in North America, when I say meat, we mean white meat. So, chicken, turkey is just considered meat. Pork is considered meat, and beef is considered meat. So all of those three common animals, or four, I guess, chicken, turkey, pork, and beef, we all consider meat. So once a week, families in North America will try to have a non-meat dinner, and they consider fish. Fish is considered non-meat. So this is to be a little healthier. So once a week, families might have fish. This is salmon, which would be considered the more expensive fish, and then white fish. So maybe tilapia or cod or halibut would be alternatives for a white fish. And then with fish, generally rice is served in North America with fish, whereas potatoes are served with all other meals. And then every plate always comes with vegetables. So this is a non-meat dinner. Okay, now rapid fire. How many of these vegetables can you name? These are all common vegetables eaten. Someone long time ago in our class asked me about celery. Well, celery is on this list. So we'll go through these. Yeah, Stefania, steak is considered beef. So steak is a type of beef, just like roast beef. So steak you would absolutely be one of the most common meals eaten as well, but it's would be considered the beef category. Okay, so how many of these can you name? And we'll focus on the pronunciation as well. So let's go through these together. Are there any that you don't know? We have broccoli, broccoli. So notice that second O is not pronounced. Broccoli, 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 broccoli. Asparagus. Notice at the ending of this, it's gis, is, gis. Asparagus. Zucchini, zucchini, kini. That CH becomes K. Zucchini, zucchini. Spinach, spinach. Notice that it's an itch at the end. Spinach, spinach. Eggplant. Ooh, one of my favorites. Eggplant. Cucumber. Very similar visually to a zucchini. Even at the grocery store, if I send my husband grocery shopping, he might bring me back a zucchini if I ask for a cucumber. They're very similar. So you have to look at the texture on the outside. Cucumber, cucumber. Celery with an S. Celery, celery, celery. Cauliflower, cauliflower. Carrot, of course, carrot. Leek, that long E, eek, eek, leek, leek. Sweet potato, sweet potato. So visually, they're different in size, in shape. So sweet potatoes are longer, and then regular potatoes are more of a circular round, and then sweet potatoes are longer, and they are sweet on the inside. So they taste sweet. sweet potato, and peas. Peas. So watch this again and focus on that pronunciation. Okay. All right. So finally, dessert. Is this your favorite part of dinner? Favorite part of the day? Favorite meal of the day, I should say? These are common desserts in North America. We have six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can you name any of them? I'm sure everyone knows number one. I'm sure this is ubiquitous with North America. Nothing's as American as number one, as of course. What about number two? Ooh, number three. Do you recognize this? Okay. What do we have here? Ah, yes. I'm sure a lot of people know the names of these for sure. Everyone loves desserts. What about 1, 2, 3, 4? What about number 4? Someone asked me why I didn't have this on the fruit list. Well, here we have it in dessert form. This contains a delicious fruit that is very common in North America that I should have included on the fruit list, but I did not. And it's like pie, but it has a different name. It's not called pie. Any ideas? Any ideas? Yes, I can pronounce dessert. I'm glad you asked. Okay, dessert, dessert, dessert. So notice that z sound, dessert, d. So the syllable stress is da, dessert, da, dessert, dessert. So repeat after me, Dulix, dessert, dessert. Excellent question. Thank you for asking. Dessert. Okay. Barry. Oh, someone got the name for number 4. That's awesome. Melina said, best meal of the day. Nice, nice. Okay. So the names. Apple pie. Apple pie. Now, it's very common to have apple pie with ice cream. Now, sometimes on menus, you'll see the word a la mode. A la mode. This is not English. This is French. A la mode, which does not mean with ice cream as the French translation. Okay. However, that's what it means to Americans on a menu. So if you see apple pie a la mode, or even brownie a la mode, it means they put a scoop of vanilla ice cream on your apple pie. So apple pie with ice cream, sometimes on menus, probably fancier menus, they say a la mode. Brownie, red velvet cupcake. So red velvet is just the type of this, but it's a cupcake. There are so many different types of cupcakes. Someone asked me the difference between a cupcake and a muffin. Okay, in North America, we generally eat muffins for breakfast. Muffins are considered a breakfast food. Cupcakes are a dessert. Muffins are larger. Cupcakes are smaller. Muffins tend to be less sweet and contain perhaps healthier ingredients such as carrot, fruit, and bran, raisins. Those are the ingredients. So they're not as sweet. Cupcakes are sweet. They contain chocolate chips, caramel, sweet items. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. And so a peach cobbler, it's the ingredients of a pie, but it's presented like it's a broken up pie. So the crust of it is broken a little bit. So it looks a little messier than pie, but it's delicious, delicious. And it's very common to have peach as the ingredient for cobbler. So if you see cobbler on the menu, just think pie. It will taste like pie. And it's very common to serve it with ice cream as well. Of course, donuts, you can get any type of donuts. And then cookies, you can get any types of cookies. I don't really know. This looks like chocolate chips and a nut, some form of nut. But of course, you can have any type of cookies as well. All right. Melina loves brownie a la mode. Ooh, very decadent for sure. Yes. And muffins can be savory for sure. Savory. So we have sweet, savory. Savory represents more, think of cheese is savory, chocolate is sweet, and potato chips are savory, chocolate, brownies, cookies, donuts are sweet, nuts are savory. So there are things that are salty and not sweet. And yes, muffins are generally more savory for sure. Okay. Now, four more types of dessert. These are very common in North America, and you will see them on most menus, especially diners, which are small local restaurants, are called diners in North America. They serve home style food, comfort food. They're not very expensive. Those are called diners. And all four of these desserts are very common in diners. What do we have? Do you know the names? Yes, I see some names already. Lots of names. Does anyone know what number two is? Number two. I usually get number three. That's my favorite dessert. Which would you order if you had to order one? All right. Yes, we see lots of answers here. We have cheesecake, lemon pie for sure. Okay, so we have number one, cheesecake. You can get it maybe strawberry cheesecake, cherry cheesecake, chocolate cheesecake, seasonally pumpkin cheesecake, but only in fall. So you can get different types of cheesecake, but the base is cheesecake. Key lime pie. Have you ever had key lime pie? So they never just call it lime pie. They always call it key lime pie. So key limes are a type of lime. Key lime pie. Lemon pie, but the white part is called Meringue is made from egg whites and sugar. And you just beat them incredibly fast until they become stiff. So you can see that it's stiff. It doesn't fall down. It remains upright, so it's stiff. Okay, so lemon meringue. The white part is the meringue. Lemon meringue pie, meringue, lemon meringue pie. And then number four, an ice cream sundae. The word Sunday is pronounced exactly as the day of the week. Sunday. Ice cream sundae, a sundae. You might just call it a sundae. You can also call it a hot fudge sundae, but that's a type of sundae. Of course, with hot fudge, you can get caramel sundaes, strawberry sundaes. So you can get other sundaes. Hot fudge is the most common type of sundae.
Let's move on and you'll learn and shadow cleaning phrases you can use every day.
Let's get started. You might say, this weekend, I went on a cleaning spree. Ooh, maybe this describes you this last weekend, or maybe at some point in the recent past, or maybe you didn't go on a cleaning spree. Maybe you went on a shopping spree or an organizing spree or a dusting spree. So instead of cleaning, you can be specific and say organizing, dusting, scrubbing, or you can use a non cleaning activity such as shopping, which many people would agree is more fun. Now, we have X spree. And notice the sentence structure. You go on you need an article, and then cleaning represents the adjective, and then the word spree. Spree. Don't think about this literally. This entire expression has a meaning, and the meaning is to do a lot of that activity at once. So if you go on a shopping spree, you do a lot of shopping in a short period of time. If you go on a cleaning spree, you do a lot of cleaning in one time period. So, has this described you in the recent past? You went on a cleaning spree or maybe a shopping spree. How about this? I need to do a deep clean before my in laws arrive. Oh, so you probably have certain people who visit you, and you want to make sure your house is spotless. Spotless. That's a great adjective you can use for cleaning. So think of all the additional words and phrases you'll learn just by me explaining. So, spotless. This means extremely clean. There is not a spot of dirt or dust anywhere. Extremely clean. So you want your house to be spotless before your in-laws arrive or your parents arrive or your sister arrives. So a deep clean is a thorough clean. So you could say, I need to clean thoroughly. I need to clean, and then the adverb thoroughly. I need to clean thoroughly before my in laws arrive. Before saying that, I need to do a deep clean. So notice the verb is do, because clean is functioning as a noun, not a verb. Okay. I need to clean. In that sentence, clean is a verb. I need to do a deep clean. Clean is a noun. So it is more common to use the verb clean, but in this expression, which is very common, I need to do a deep clean. I need to do a deep clean. That's a lot more natural than saying I need to clean thoroughly, which sounds quite formal or textbook. And yes, exactly, Manuel. Spotless, immaculate, immaculate. I want my house to be immaculate before my in-laws arrive, for example. Okay, let's keep going, everyone. How about this? Just give the bathroom a quick clean. What do you notice here? Well, clean functions as a noun, a clean, a clean. Now, in this case, the verb we're using is give. So give something. In this case, the something is the bathroom. You might say your office, the kitchen, the garage, whatever room it is in your house. Just give the bathroom a clean. But what type of clean? A deep clean? A quick clean. So just a quick clean. Of course, you know what quick means. So just give the bathroom a quick clean. Hopefully, this is something that you do daily. You just give a specific room a quick clean. And then maybe once a week, once a month, you do a deep clean. You do a deep clean, or you go on a cleaning spree. Let's keep going. How about this? Can you please tidy up your office? So maybe you say this to your spouse, your roommate, your family member before your in-laws arrive. Now, when I say office, I'm thinking about a home office, because in the workplace in North America, it's not that common to clean your workplace. Usually there are cleaners who do that. So I'm talking about your office in your home. Like right now, I'm in my office in my home. Okay, can you please tidy up your office? Now, there's an important distinction between can you please tidy up your office and can you please clean up your office? Does anyone know what that distinction is? What that difference is? Well, I have the definition of tidy up right here on the screen. So when I say tidy up, I mean organize. So let's say you have a bunch of papers. Rather than having the papers all over the desk, you take all those papers and you put them in a neat, an organized, a neat stack. Imagine these are loose papers. You put them in a stack and then you put that stack in a very specific place on your desk. So to organize, to put things in their place, that would be tidy up. Tidy up. Yeah, you can think of it as to make neat. Your spelling of neat is incorrect. To tidy up. We need to tidy up because it's messy. Exactly. So messy as an adjective is used to describe a lot of dirt or disorganization. So disorganization means that things are not in their proper place. Okay. So what about you? Is your desk usually tidy? Tidy. So that is the adjective. So you can answer this question. Is your desk usually tidy or messy? So you have to choose one. Put one put one word in the comments. Put tidy in the comments or put messy in the comments. And be honest, my husband's desk is always messy and it drives me crazy because my desk is spotless, very tidy every day. So for me, it's absolutely tidy. What about you? And if you don't have a desk, you can change that to whatever else you have. Okay. Natalia keeps her desk neat and tidy. Excellent. Excellent. Mostly tidy. I of course, it's messy. Of course. Tidy, tidy. Oh, we have a lot more tidy. Oh, no, wait. Here comes the messy people. Oh, walking tour Canada. Where are you going in Canada? Let me know. Messy. Oh, a little bit of both. It drives me crazy when my desk is messy. Exactly. Exactly. Tidy and neat. Awesome. So a little bit of both. Super tidy. Ooh, I like that. Spoken like a true native. Super, super tidy. Tidy. Yeah, you can say I am a tidy person. I'm a tidy person. I'm an organized person. I'm a neat person. You can absolutely say that. Hey, Daki, messy. Okay, it's personal preference. For me, I can't concentrate if there's a lot of mess around. But for my husband, it makes no difference. It doesn't bother him. It bothers me, but it doesn't bother him. So it's really just personality as well. Okay, so now can you please clean up your office? Clean up. So remember, just imagine if I say tidy up your office, my husband is going to take his papers and he's going to put them in an organized pile. Okay. If I say clean up, he's going to get a rag and a spray bottle and he's going to wipe the surface. Okay. He's going to vacuum, he's going to dust, he's going to mop. So to remove dirt, dust, stains. That's the difference between tidy up and clean up. So tidy up this room, I might organize those pillows, which are always in a very tidy position. But if they were messy, then I would put them in a very specific position. That would be tidy. If I were to clean up, I would vacuum. Okay, so just different. It's a mess most of the time. I like this. I like how you use it's a mess. So, this is something that people will absolutely say. A parent might walk into their kid's room, their bedroom, and say, this room is a mess. So, yes, you can say, this room is messy and use the adjective. This room is messy, but you can walk in and say, oh my God, this room is a mess. So you're using it as a noun, a mess. Okay, awesome. Good job. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, let's look at this. My room was very messy yesterday, so I had to do a deep clean and now it looks super tidy. Congratulations. This is an excellent sentence and it sounds very natural. You sound like a native. And a lot of times people get so confused like, what does it mean to sound like a native? Why are all these teachers talking about sounding like a native? All it means is that you're using vocabulary, words, phrases the way that natives do, like using super as an intensifier. Natives do that all the time. So when you do it, saying, wow, it looks super tidy, instantly you sound more like a native because that's the way my friends speak. That's the way my coworkers speak. All right. And thank you so much for showing your support. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, now a student asked the difference between clean and clean up. Let's talk about that now because it's an important distinction. So, how about this? After the party, can you help me clean up? Okay, can you help me clean up after the party, after dinner, after the in laws leave? Can you help me clean up? So this does mean, can you help me clean? If you said after the party, can you help me clean? I would know exactly what you mean. There's no confusion. I know what to do. Okay, so just remember that. But we use clean up when you want to clean a specific mess. So this is the mess created from the party. Or can you help me clean up after dinner? So, of course, is the specific mess created from dinner? Can you help me clean up after your parents leave? Is the specific mess created from your parents being here? Okay, so clean up, just think of it as to clean a specific area. Now, you can also just use it more in general. Can you help me clean tonight? Oh, tonight I'm cleaning. I'm cleaning the house. So this is just a regular clean. It's a routine clean. It's not necessarily an area, a mess caused by a specific thing, such as dinner, a party, your in laws. It's just in general. So, what you do likely every week, or maybe a little bit every day. Can you help me clean tonight? So, in general, that's the difference. But just know if you said, can you help me clean up tonight? I would know exactly what you mean. And if you say, can you help me clean after the party? I would know exactly what you mean. So these two, clean and clean up, are more interchangeable. Yes, they have a slight difference in meaning, but ultimately, if you change the order, I understand what you mean. But if you say, can you help me tidy up? I'm not going to get the vacuum. I'm going to just start organizing papers or pillows. Okay, so there is more of a difference between tidy up and clean up. Let's keep going. How about this? Can you wipe up that spill before it stains? Can you wipe up that spill before it stains? So, what's a spill? So, a spill is liquid. It could also be solid, but we usually use it with liquids that is on a surface when it should be in a cup. So if water comes out, that would be a spill. But know that it can also be used for or it can also be used as a verb. So, oh no, I spilled my water. So to spill is to cause the liquid to leave its proper place. A spill is when you look at the liquid on a counter or the floor and say, oh no, that liquid shouldn't be there. A spill. Okay, so it can be a verb or a noun, but in this sentence structure, it's a noun. So get comfortable with recognizing when you see a word, well, you have to know, how is that word being used? Is it a verb? Is it a noun, adjective, adverb? You need to know that. Can you wipe up that spill before it stains? So pay attention, because wipe is used wipe, wipe up, wipe down. And they're slightly different. Wipe, wipe up, wipe down. Right now, we're talking about wipe up. So wipe up is to remove a specific spill, but it can also be dirt. Okay. So let's say you were outside and you got mud on your shoes, and then you touch the floor with your shoe, you step on the floor and you leave mud on the floor. You would say, can you wipe up the mud? So it doesn't have to be liquid, okay? It can be a mess, which would be mud, for example. So liquid, a specific liquid spill or mess. Wipe up, wipe up. All right, let's keep going, everyone. See this? Not wipe up. There are 3 forms: wipe, wipe up, wipe down. You don't want wipe up, because you don't wipe up in general. When you wipe up, there's a specific spill, mess, or liquid, and you are removing it. That's the only time we use wipe up. So in this case, wipe up does not work. Okay, let's keep going. Can you wipe down all the kitchen counters? So remember, I said we have wipe, wipe up, wipe down. So now I'm using wipe down. So wipe down is thoroughly clean, and it's the entire area. So I could wipe down my desk, and I thoroughly clean the entire surface of the desk. I could wipe down that door because it does get dusty and dirty, and it would be from top to bottom, the entire area. I can wipe down my computer screen, and it would be the entire area. Now, let's look at wipe. Why are you dusting the counters? You need to wipe them. So dusting and wiping, they're both cleaning actions. They're both cleaning verbs. But generally, you don't dust counters, like a kitchen counter, you wipe them, okay? So to wipe is when you have a rag, a cloth, a sponge, and it's wet, and maybe you use cleaner. Cleaner would be something like a disinfectant, Lysol, dish soap, vinegar. It can be a natural cleaner as well. I personally use vinegar and baking soda for 99% of my cleaning needs, or water. But you can, not required, you can just use a wet cloth, and then you go like this, right? That is wipe. So why are you dusting the counters? You need to wipe them. So to wipe is more focused on the action. So the action is my hand moving like this. Now, if it's on a flat surface, my hand will be moving like this, okay? Where I wipe down is to clean thoroughly the entire area, but wipe it's just not specific. I don't know if it's a specific stain. I don't know if it's the entire area thoroughly. It's just more focused on the action of moving your hand. So you can wipe your desk, you can wipe down your desk, you can wipe up some tea or coffee on your desk. Okay. So you wipe up something specific. So I wouldn't say, can you wipe up your desk? I would say, can you wipe up the coffee stain on your desk? Or can you wipe up the oatmeal on your desk if you had oatmeal for breakfast and then some of the oatmeal spilled? All right. How about this? We're moving on. So you know the difference between wipe, wipe up, wipe down. You also know the difference between clean, clean up, tidy up. So now let's move on. There's so much clutter in the basement. Ooh, what room of the house would you use this? There is so much clutter in what room would you identify? In the basement, in the spare bedroom, in the hall closet, in the attic, in the garage? What room of the house would you say? So, clutter. Ooh, what is clutter? There is no clutter anywhere in my house because I can't stand clutter. Clutter, this represents things. So, clutter, the word is singular, okay? Things is plural, but you would never say there are so many clutters, okay? Clutter is always singular, but it represents a plural because clutter is things that take up too much space or make it crowded. For example, if I had 10 pillows and 3 blankets on that couch, you would say the couch is cluttered. The couch is cluttered. Now, in the room, if I had boxes and 3 chairs and 3 lamps and a bookshelf and 50 books all right behind me, that's all things. But things, they're taking up too much space and it makes the room crowded. So you would refer to all of those things as the singular clutter. Clutter. Very important word, clutter. Okay. Overloaded with unnecessary stuff. Exactly. Yes, Alexander, clutter is uncountable. That's why we have there is and much. The word much is used for clutter. So who can take there is so much clutter and change it to things? What else do you need to change? Who can do that exercise? Put it in the comments. Okay. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed my news lesson. This was yesterday with the US leaving the WHO, the World Health Organization. So if you haven't watched it yet, you can find it on my channel. I posted it yesterday. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Ah, a cluttered basement. Exactly. Again, a cluttered basement. Yeah. There are so many things in the basement. Exactly. So we have to change our verb conjugation from there is to there are. Okay. So can stay, but much is for uncountable, many is for countable. So clutter is uncountable. We use the singular verb and much. Things is countable. We use the plural verb, there are, and then so many things. Well done. Well done. And thank you so much, Jorge, for supporting the channel. I greatly appreciate that. Yeah, and you can absolutely say there is a lot of clutter. There is a lot of clutter in the basement. Absolutely, you can say that. Great job. Yeah, there are so many things in the basement. Absolutely. All right, let's keep going. Let's tidy up our cluttered room. If you use clutter where you have it, it's an adjective, so you need the ed. Cluttered, cluttered, cluttered. Let's tidy up our cluttered room. If you got rid of room, then clutter is the noun. Let's tidy up our clutter. Perfect, perfect. All right. Woohoo. I'm so glad this is your first lesson. And yes, lots of interesting vocabulary here, and we're learning a lot of grammar at the same time. Yeah, a pantry could absolutely be cluttered, but the adjective is cluttered. So you would say a cluttered pantry, because in this case, it functions as an adjective, not a noun. In my sentence, it's a noun. Okay, so that's why there's no ed. Let's keep going, everyone. So here we see it as the adjective in this sentence. So you could equally say, right back at you, mwah, to Morocco, you can equally say the basement is too cluttered. So the basement is messy. Messy is an adjective. The basement is clean, adjective. The basement is tidy, adjective. The basement is small, big, new, old, nice, ugly, adjectives. Cluttered is an adjective. So to be cluttered. In this sentence, we use the verb to be as well. The basement is cluttered. So this means the basement is filled with too many things, and it makes it feel crowded. So it's not in a positive way, because it can be filled with many things, but in a positive way, but cluttered is not positive. All right, we have a lot of first timers. Thank you so much. That's so great. I'm so glad you're here with us. Let's keep going. Yes, but you need the adjective form. Can I say I have a cluttered brain? Yes, but you're describing your brain, so you need the adjective form. And yes, you can say that. Native speakers understand it. It's more figurative. You have so much stuff in your brain that it makes your brain feel crowded. Yes, you can say it, but keep in mind it's more of a figurative way. Can you help me tidy up my cluttered room? Woohoo! Finally, we have a student using it with the adjective form. Great job. Great job. Okay, all the way to Turkey and Nairobi. Welcome, welcome. Myanmar, welcome. India, welcome. Oh, hello, Costa Rica. Welcome, Paravita. Let's keep going. Should we finally tackle the clutter in the basement this weekend? So, answer, is this a verb, noun, adjective, adverb? What part of speech is it? And I'm talking about the word clutter. Clutter. Should we finally tackle the clutter in the basement this weekend? Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I greatly appreciate that. It truly helps keep sustaining the channel so I can keep going live, keep creating so much content for all of you. And yes, it's a noun. Great job, everyone. Yes, you got it. Because, well, you can always look for clues. Instantly, the clue is the word the, because we only use articles in front of nouns. So that's instantly your clue. Yes, you got it. You got it. Okay, should we finally? I'll answer that in a second. I have a slide on declutter. Should we finally tackle? So tackle means that you need to deal with it. You need to handle it. You need to do something about it. So if I have 20 boxes, 100 books, 3 lamps, 5 chairs, 12 cat sculptures right behind me, I need to tackle this. I need to do something about it. I need to address it. I need to handle it. I need to deal with it. Those are all alternatives. Okay, so this is a great verb. You do not only need to use this with cleaning, of course, you can use this with any problem situation that you're experiencing. Let's keep going. And yes, there are just such subtle differences, but they're very important. So I'm glad you're finding this valuable. Okay, you don't tackle with, so you must always look at the sentence structure. You simply tackle something. So I have to tackle my math problems, not with. So just remove the word with and you got it correct. Well done. Oh, I'm so glad. Definitely want you to join as well. It's really fun. It's a great way for us to interact with each other. Yes, I'd love to come to Morocco, have some mint tea and delicious food. Oh, I have to tackle my daily bad sleeping habit. Yes, absolutely. Excellent example. Excellent. Love it. Okay, wow, great job decluttering the basement. So, wow, it's funny because you just said, let's declutter the basement. Great job. Great minds think alike. So, here, great job. This is in the ing form, decluttering, because great job doing something. So, great job tackling your math problem. Great job cleaning the bathroom. That's why it's in the ing form. Wow, great job decluttering the basement. Oh, I'm so glad it's your first lesson from, well, sorry, I keep trying to press this one. Your first class, welcome, welcome. Make sure all you first timers, you subscribe so you're notified every time I go live, every time I post a new lesson. Welcome, welcome, all the way to China. Okay, we need to declutter our office after the meeting. Meeting is a singular countable noun, so you need the. We need to declutter our office for sure, absolutely. So, to declutter, this is to remove unnecessary items and to organize what's left. So, maybe I decide I want to keep 2 chairs, 10 books, and 2 cat sculptures. And I get rid of everything else. Now, the remaining items, I'm also going to put them in a proper place. Organize, organize. So, declutter is different from organize because first, you remove unnecessary items. With organize, I take all the papers on my desk and I just put them in a stack, in a pile. But with declutter, I decide which papers I'm going to permanently remove. Cat sculpture, 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 a cat sculpture. Let's move on. We're not talking about clutter anymore. We're talking about something different. Just let those pans soak for a bit. So, of course, you cook with a pan, a frying pan. You can just say pan. So, you're providing this as a suggestion. Just let those pans, so there's more than one, those pans soak for a bit. For a bit. A bit means a short period of time. Be back in a bit. See you in a bit. Call you in a bit. In a bit. But here we have for because we have the duration of time from start to finish. When I say in a bit, I'm only talking about the end point. Okay. For is the duration of time. All right. So soak. What is soak? Well, if you're getting a manicure, you will let your fingers soak in water first to soften your cuticles, for example. Okay. If this shirt is very dirty, I would let it soak in water before I put it in the washer. Now, same with dishes. You can let them soak in water. So it just to let them sit in water, to leave them in water. And why do you do that? Well, because it makes cleaning easier. Yeah, you can soak in the bathtub. You need an area where you can put a lot of water. So if I'm cleaning my shirts, maybe I would soak them in the bathtub. You can soak your dishes in the sink, and you can soak your fingers in a small bowl of water. So the vessel can be different for sure. Yeah, and you might add let's with apostrophe s, let's put this pan, this is singular, so it means one. Okay, let's put this pan in water with soap. With soap. So you can absolutely add with soap. Your sentence structure needs fixing a little bit, but great job, Ariel. I love how you added with soap. So Ariel, you might say, let's soak this pan in water with soap. Because you can use soak as the verb. Let's soak, or let's let this pan soak in water. All right. Yeah, absolutely. You can soak beans for 4 to 5 hours before cooking. And that is a recommendation for sure. Actually, I did this yesterday. I cooked a big batch of beans yesterday for veggie burritos, and I let them soak overnight. So I let them sit in water overnight. Excellent example. Yeah, you can soak the sponge in the soap. Absolutely. Great job. Let the sneakers soak for a while before wiping up the messy soil. Absolutely. So put your sneakers in some water and just let them sit there. Maybe add a little bit of soap as well. Okay. Great job, everyone. Lots of different things you can soak. Let's keep going. You can let those pans air dry. So remember, pans, plural, it means more than one. So you use those. If you could also use these, those, these, either one. If you use this, it must be one. You can let this pan air dry. Okay, so to air dry, I do not do that with my hair because it would take 3 or 4 hours, which is just too long. But I do that with many of my clothes. So to air dry, to dry naturally. So you don't put it in the dryer, the drying machine, the dryer for your shirt. And if you let your hair dry, air dry, it means you don't use a hair dryer. You just let the environment dry it. Now, for dishes, it means you don't dry them with a towel. You just leave them on the counter and they dry naturally, and then you put them away. So maybe you're letting the person know that they don't have to do that because it takes time. You can let those pans air dry. You can let those pans air dry. Oh, yes. You can also use soaked as an adjective to describe something that is completely wet. So if someone knocks on the door, I might say to my husband, "Can you get the door? My hair is soaked." So I don't want to get the door because my hair is soaked. Maybe I just got out of the shower. Or you can say, "Oh, I can't wear this shirt. It's soaked. It's completely wet." Yeah, great example. Ah, I usually let my hair air dry 80% before I blow dry. Awesome. That's great. I love letting my hair air dry. Unfortunately, I just don't have the time to do it. We should clean out the fridge before we go on vacation. Okay, so clean out, clean out. So we talked about clean and clean up. Now I'm introducing a new form, which is clean out. Now I'm introducing it later because it's a very specific thing. So we should clean out the fridge. If you clean out, it means you take all the items out of the fridge and then, oh, this mustard has been here for 5 years. Throw it out. This jam is expired. Throw it out. Ooh, this has mold on it. Throw it out. Okay? So you remove unwanted items because there's usually a lot of small amount of condiments in the fridge. And then you put the wanted items back, but in an organized way. All my condiments go on this shelf. My eggs go here. My whatever goes here. So you put it in an organized way. You can clean out your fridge. You can clean out your closet. You can clean out the garage. You can clean out the basement as well. How about this? There are so many dust bunnies under the bed. Have you looked under your bed lately? Have you looked under your couch? What would happen if you moved your couch? Well, most likely you would find dust bunnies. It's a really cute word, and it just means balls or clumps of dust. So when dust comes together, it forms a clump or a ball, and you usually find them under the couch, under the bed, or places that don't usually get cleaned. Even when you do your regular weekly vacuuming, it's the back of the couch. Definitely, there are dust bunnies under the couch. So you can use dust bunnies. Now, notice it's plural. So that's why we have there are, and we're using many. But the word dust is singular. So you wouldn't say there are dusts with an S. That doesn't work. Okay. Yeah, you can think of it like cotton balls, exactly, but it's dust. But it usually, when you take it out, it's definitely in a ball. I don't know how it happens, but it forms a ball for sure. Okay. Um, so dust is singular, it's uncountable. You never add an S, but dust bunnies, dust balls, dust clumps, that would be plural. So you would change your verb and you change much, many. So just remember you have to make those differences. And I don't know where the word dust bunnies came from. They don't really look like bunnies, but I guess maybe you could argue they are. They do look like bunnies. Okay. What do we have? In French, you use sheep. So would you say dust sheep or just sheep? There's sheep under the bed. That's interesting. Yeah, definitely. It's cute for sure. Dust bunnies. I guess the bunny more means the ball or the clump, because you still would say dust. We generally don't say there are bunnies under the bed. Someone would be like, "What are you talking about? Bunnies?" So that I don't instantly think of dust. You must say dust bunnies. Dust bunnies. Okay. So you must still use the word dust. So bunnies, I guess, represents more the balls or the clumps. Yeah, maybe that's why they're fluffy. They're fluffy for sure. Oh, dust kitty. That's so cute. I love this. I love this. Dust clouds. Oh, I love this. Yes, I can see the cloud for sure. They look like clouds. I like it. Where are these dust bunnies coming from? Even though I clean every day. Do you have pets? Because most of my dust bunnies come from cat hair for sure. Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. It's like impossible to say dusts with a plural. It's so difficult. So don't say it. It's just dust. Just dust. Let's keep moving. Now you've learned dust bunnies. That's probably the one. If you remember anything from the lesson, I bet tomorrow morning you'll wake up and you'll think dust bunnies. I'm doing laundry this afternoon. Do you have anything to throw in? So, first, notice you do laundry. You can say the laundry. You can also just say, I'm doing laundry. You don't have to say the. In this case, it's optional. I'm doing laundry. I'm doing the laundry this afternoon. So if you want to include a time reference, you can. You don't need to. You could say, I'm doing laundry after my meeting. I'm doing laundry after lunch. I'm doing laundry before my meeting. So you can use different time references if you choose. Do you have anything? So anything would be clothes. So I could say, do you have any clothes or clothing to throw in? Throw in means to add. So I have my pile of dirty clothes. And if you throw something in, it means you add a shirt to the pile. You could, so you, to add or to contribute. Contribute sounds a little more formal. I would never say, do you have anything to contribute? But that means more the literal translation of it. But to add. So I would absolutely say to my husband, do you have anything to add? Do you have anything to add? I would say that. But you can also use throw in. Yeah, you could use throw in with ideas. Not as common, I'll be honest, but does anyone have any ideas to throw in? Yeah, you could, but I would say it's not the most common. I would say you're safer to use add or contribute. In a meeting context, contribute sounds a little more formal, add sounds natural every day. And then with laundry, you can use add or throw in. Definitely not throw out, because throw out means to remove permanently. Let's keep going. You can't just wipe the toilet. You need to scrub it. Oh, so remember I explained wipe is how you move your hand like this or like this if it's on a vertical surface, horizontal surface. Now, What is scrub? This is scrub. As fast as you can, as hard as you can. Scrub. You can scrub your nails. You can scrub your face. You can scrub your hair. So there are other things you can scrub as well. If there's a stain on my shirt, well, then I might scrub it. But I probably, if there was just a little bit of dust on my shirt, then I would wipe it. Okay, so that would be the difference. Yeah, I need to scrub my sink. Absolutely. So certain things when you're cleaning, you don't wipe them, you scrub them. The sink is absolutely one of them. If you have a stainless steel sink, here's a tip for you. Use baking soda. Baking soda, just put a little water in it to turn it into a paste. Only use this on stainless steel, and then use steel wool, so a steel sponge to scrub it. It will look brand new. It will look spotless, immaculate. Try it. You won't be disappointed, but only stainless steel. Do not use that on porcelain. Okay. How did the floors get so sticky? So, especially if you have children, you probably have a lot of sticky surfaces. So, a surface can be a counter, or a surface can be the floor, even. So, how did the floors get so sticky? Sticky is when you touch it and then it's difficult to get your fingers off because they stick. So a substance that stays attached. So sticky, the first thing I think of is honey, syrup, of course, glue. That's the purpose of glue. It's sticky, sticky. Okay. So how did the floors get so sticky? So you wouldn't say messy, dirty, dusty. This is just a specific adjective. Sticky, sticky. Yeah, exactly. Rice. Well, the purpose of sticky rice is that it's difficult to separate the individual grains. That's what we don't say pieces, grains, the grains of rice, because they're in a clump, basically. Sticky rice. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so you can use that to describe a surface or rice for sure. Or if you eat chicken wings, that or anything that ribs, anything that has a lot of sauce on it, well then after you'll say, "Oh, I need to wash my hands." They're really sticky. So if you eat food with your hands, well then often you would describe your fingers as being sticky. So you need to wash your hands because your hands or your fingers specifically are sticky. And yeah, absolutely someone said a sticky note. Exactly. So, oh, this one's not so sticky anymore because it's old. I have something written on here that I need. So it's not so sticky. It doesn't really stick. But yes, exactly. Let's keep going, everyone. I'll wash the floors. I'll mop the floors. You can use either one. Just know that a mop is more with the device called a mop. But if you wash the floors, you could be on your hands and knees with a rag or a towel, and you can be wiping the floors on your hands and knees. Okay, but a mop, you're going to use or to mop, you're going to use the device called a mop. But if you are mopping, you can say, "I'm washing the floors, I'm mopping the floors." But if you're on your hands and knees, you can only say, "I'm washing the floors." Okay? I'll wash the floors, I'll mop the floors after I unload the dishwasher. So to load, you can use this with your dishwasher, which washes your dishes being cups, bowls, plates, cutlery, pots, pans. Or you can use load, unload with a washer and a dryer. Now, that's what Americans say. We call them a washer and a dryer. The washing machine, the drying machine. I don't call it a washing machine. I call it a washer and a dryer. Okay. But when I go to a store, they often will call it a washing machine. But just when I'm talking about it, I call it a washer dryer. So it's just a casual term that Americans use to describe a washing machine and a drying machine. So you load, which means you put items in. So you put your clothes in or you put your dishes in. Now, to unload, it means that you remove them, you take them out, and then most likely you also return them to the proper place. So I take my cup out of the dishwasher and I put it in the cupboard. Or I take my clothes out of the washer and I put them in the dryer. And if I take them out of the dryer, I put them in my closet. Okay. I have just dropped a glass of milk and I had to clean the sticky floor. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, you can also use clean. I should have included that. You can say, I'll clean the floors. Just know clean, it may be vacuuming, it may be mopping, washing. So clean is more general. And then wash, mop is specific with water. Water. Can you take out the garbage and recycling? Can you take out? Okay, so here we learned take out meaning remove. Now, specifically with garbage or recycling, you remove it and you remove it for proper disposal. All right? So you put it in a specific area outside, at the curb, wherever you put your garbage. You take it to the garbage chute in the hallway of your apartment or condo. Can you take out the garbage and recycling? Can you take out? So, can you remove permanently? Can you dispose of? How about this? Should I sweep now or after dinner? So we talked about mopping or washing, which is with water, but sweep is not with water. So that would be the difference. You sweep up the dust bunnies, the dust bunnies. Should I sweep now or after dinner? So sweep, this is the verb. Should I sweep? And you sweep with a broom. You mop with a mop. You sweep with a broom. You vacuum with a vacuum. One more. Can you sweep up? So notice I said, should I sweep now or after? But the example I said, can you sweep up the dust bunnies? Can you sweep up the dust bunnies? So can you sweep up these crumbs? Crumbs, imagine you're eating toast. And as you take a bite, little pieces from your toast fall. Okay. Those are crumbs. Or if you're cutting bread, there's going to be little particles, little pieces. Those are crumbs. Can you sweep up these crumbs so we don't track them everywhere? So first, let's talk about sweep up. This is you sweep a specific area or mess. So remember I said sweep up the dust bunnies. So that's a specific mess, the dust bunnies. You can just sweep, which would be the entire area. But if you sweep up, it's specific area or mess, like crumbs, dust bunnies, things like that. Now, so we don't track them everywhere. If you don't sweep the crumbs when you walk, you're going to step in the crumbs. The crumbs will stick to your feet. And then when you walk, the crumbs will disperse, they will spread. So that is to track them, the crumbs everywhere. The crumbs are here, but if you walk through them, they will spread, they will disperse. Okay, can you sweep up these crumbs so we don't track them everywhere?
Great job. Let's move on and you'll learn and shadow medical phrases you can use every day. Let's talk about a patient. A patient is a person receiving medical care. We will all be patients at some point in our life, and I'm sure all of us have already been patients on numerous occasions. Now, right now, I'm not a patient. Even though I have a doctor, I'm not a patient because currently I'm not receiving medical care. This only applies when you're in the process of receiving medical care. There are two types of patients. You can be an inpatient, which means you're admitted to the hospital to receive care. If you're an inpatient, you're going to be at the hospital for a night, a week, or even longer. You have a hospital room and a hospital bed. Many inpatients are in an area of the hospital called the ICU. This stands for the Intensive Care Unit, the ICU. And this is where inpatients go to receive a high level of care. You can also be an outpatient, which most of us usually are, which means you receive care without being admitted to the hospital. You are an outpatient when you go to the ER, which is the emergency room. You're there to receive care for a specific treatment or illness. They treat you and then you leave. You don't stay overnight at the hospital. Now let's talk about common medical professionals you need to know. Of course, you already know doctor, also known as a physician. In North America, it's more common to simply say doctor, but it means the same thing. Most of us have a GP, which stands for a general practitioner. This is a doctor who treats a wide range of issues. So you can go to your GP because you have a pain in your back, or because you have a cold or a throat infection or an eye issue, a wide range of issues. You can go to your GP. A surgeon is, of course, a doctor who performs surgery. There are also many specialists, and this is a doctor who focuses on one specific medical area. A cardiologist focuses on your heart. A dermatologist focuses on your skin. A pediatrician focuses on children. And in North America, whenever you go to a pediatrician, at the end, they always give you a sucker because kids are always scared of going to the pediatrician, which is a doctor for children. So they treat you with a sucker or a small treat after. An optometrist focuses on your eyes. If you wear glasses, you frequently go to your optometrist. A dentist, of course, focuses on oral health and your teeth. An OBGYN. I have no idea what this stands for. I know it's a very long word, but everyone just says OBGYN. An OBGYN is a doctor specifically for women when you're pregnant or to discuss reproductive issues. An anesthesiologist. Don't let the spelling confuse you. Native speakers have difficult with the pronunciation of this. Anesthesiologist. Anesthesiologist. An anesthesiologist administers anesthesia, which is what makes you go unconscious before surgery. They also monitor you during surgery. A radiologist does the x-rays, CT scans, and MRIs. A psychiatrist focuses on your mind and mental disorders. Fun fact, both of my neighbors are doctors. One is a GP and the other is a psychiatrist. So if I need any help, both physically and mentally, I'm covered. And an ENT stands for ear, nose, and throat. So that doctor, an ENT, focuses on those three things: ear, nose, and throat. There are more specialists, but these are the most common. Of course, nurses are just as important as doctors. You can be a registered nurse, an RN. This means you have a nursing degree and you have a license in the specific area where you are a nurse. You can also be a nurse practitioner, an NP, which means you have more advanced training and you can diagnose and treat specific medical conditions. Let's talk about a routine checkup. This is something that all of us do, hopefully every 6 months or 1 year. And this is when you see your GP, your general practitioner, just to review your overall health. So you don't have a specific medical issue, it's just a routine appointment. We call that a checkup, a routine checkup. During that routine checkup, your GP, general practitioner, is going to examine your vital signs. Your vital signs include your temperature, your heart rate, and your blood pressure. Now you can also discuss any specific medical issues that you're having with your GP during the routine checkup. Of course, you can schedule an appointment at a separate time for a specific medical issue. If you are discussing a specific medical concern or issue with your GP, it's possible that they'll refer you to a specialist. For example, your GP could say, I'm going to refer you to an ENT. Remember, that's ear, nose, and throat. That's what the doctor specializes in. When you see the specialist, or even when you're with your GP, you're going to talk about your symptoms. A symptom is any feeling of illness that you're currently having or that you've had in the past that you want to discuss with your GP or the specialist. And when you're talking to the doctor, one of the very first things they'll say is, what are your symptoms? What are your symptoms? And then you simply tell the doctor what's wrong, what you're feeling that isn't right. For example, I have a lot of back pain, my left arm is sore, my feet are numb, which means you can't feel your feet. If they're numb, you can't feel them. My vision is blurry, which means you can't see very well. Or you could say, I feel nauseous. Nauseous, that's the feeling you get when you're on a roller coaster. I feel nauseous. Those are just some symptoms you may be experiencing. You can experience or have a symptom. There are, of course, many, many other symptoms that you could have and that you would discuss with your GP or specialist. After listening to your symptoms, the doctor might want to do some diagnostic tests. These are tests or an exam to determine the existence or the absence of a specific medical condition, disease, or illness. Common examples of diagnostic tests are an MRI, an X-ray, or a CT scan. After these diagnostic tests, the doctor will have a diagnosis, which is a judgment about what the illness or medical problem is. Then you can discuss the treatment options. These are the different courses of action that you can take to address the medical issue or the different treatments available. If the treatment option includes medication, well then the doctor will write you a prescription. A prescription is a written order or an our modern world, most likely an electronic order for a specific medical treatment like a drug or a specific pill. You can take your prescription to a pharmacy because at the pharmacy, of course, there'll be a pharmacist, and a pharmacist fills the prescription, which just means they provide you with the medical treatment. On the prescription, it will tell you what the dosage is, and this is information the pharmacist needs. The dosage is the amount or quantity of the medical treatment, like a specific drug. So how much of that drug are you getting, and what is the quantity of the active drug in each pill that you get? That's the dosage. The pharmacist will also talk about any side effects. So the side effects of a specific medical treatment, those are the unintended consequences. So if you take a pill, it might cause headaches, but it's trying to treat your sore arm, but then it causes a headache. So that's the side effect of the pill. Any unintended consequences or adverse reactions, those are the side effects. And then later, you can schedule a follow-up appointment with your GP or specialist to discuss if your symptoms have been relieved at all, if the course of action, the treatment is working, if there needs to be any changes to the dosage, a different prescription. You can discuss all of that with your GP or specialist at a follow-up appointment. Now that you know the basics, let's move on to something more challenging. You'll learn real-world phrases natives use every day, and you can too.
Let's start with at the doctor's office. Here's an appointment, or here's a phrase you can say when you walk in the door, you go up to the reception. You can say, I have an appointment at 3 p.m. with Dr. Sharma. I'll say it again. I have an appointment at 3 p.m. with Dr. Sharma. Now, notice for vocabulary, in a medical context, we use the word appointment. You wouldn't say meeting. If you say, I have a meeting at 3 p.m. with Dr. Sharma, it sounds like you're there for a business purpose. Maybe you'll talk about expanding the medical facilities. Maybe you'll try to sell the doctor certain medical equipment or sell the doctor your marketing services. So it is not for you to be a patient. So appointment is the word when you are seeing the doctor for treatment. And the verb is have. I have an appointment. Notice that pronunciation, an appointment. So an, the article, needs to combine with appointment. An appointment. So notice it sounds like the name Anna. But then you have to continue on. An appointment. An appointment. Repeat after me. An appointment. An appointment at. Now, when I combine appointment with my next word, I'm not going to pronounce that T because it forces me to take a pause. I have an appointment at 3 p.m. with Dr. Sharma. Now, grammatically, you can change the order and you can say, I have an appointment with Dr. Sharma at 3 p.m. So you can change those two parts. So here is something you can say. Now I'll say it fast and you can repeat after me. I have an appointment at 3 p.m. with Dr. Sharma. So share in the comments, who is your next appointment with? We use this vocabulary if you're getting your hair done, your nails done, you're getting a massage, you have a medical appointment. Those are the situations where you can use the word appointment. So who is your next appointment with? All right, and hello to all my amazing students watching live. Hello, Horatio, Jacob, King's English Universe. Sounds interesting. Stella from Brazil, Pavlov, hello, hello, all the way to Czech Republic. Hidaki, and yes, I speak and therefore teach American English. Oh, is this your doctor's name? This was my childhood doctor's name. So when I thought of a doctor, this is the first name I thought of because this was my childhood doctor. Okay. All right. Anna has an appointment with her hairdresser next week. Very nice. I'm so glad you are finding it helpful and welcome, welcome. I love having new students join. Hello, Rose from Haiti. Okay, how about this one? Who is saying this? You're in the context of going to the doctor's and you say you have an appointment, and then someone replies and says this. Who says this to you? Please have a seat in the waiting room. I'll say it again. Please have a seat in the waiting room. What verb tense is this? Think about that as well. Put that in the comments. Hello, hello, all the way from Orlando. I'm so glad you love it. Okay, this is an interesting one. I have an appointment with my tattoo. So a tattoo is the actual design on your skin, but the person who does the design, generally we call them artists. So your tattoo artists. I'm not sure. There could be some other language. I don't have any tattoos, but I'm pretty sure it's tattoo artist. Okay, so I have an appointment. You don't have an appointment with the design. You have an appointment with the person who's considered an artist, a tattoo artist. Okay, but great job practicing. And if this were last week, you would change your verb tense, of course, and say, I had an appointment with my tattoo artist last week to discuss my new design or whatever it might be. And yes, of course, this is the imperative. And yes, absolutely, Merrick. The receptionist, the name of the person who would say this, receptionist, would say this as an instruction to you. Please have a seat in the waiting room. Now, the receptionist could just say, have a seat in the waiting room. Adding please sounds more friendly. Please have a seat in the waiting room. You could also add please at the end. Have a seat in the waiting room, please. Okay, let's talk about the pronunciation. Please have a. So notice you hear that v on the a. Have a. Repeat that. Have a. Have a. Have a. Have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat. Seat in the waiting room. Now, what's the waiting room? Obviously, the room where you wait. So that's what they call that, where you're like, where is the doctor? My appointment was 20 minutes ago. Ugh. That's the waiting room. And yes, I forgot to mention dentist. Actually, I have an appointment with my dentist next week. So thank you for reminding me, Ruslan. Yeah, exactly. I have a job interview on Thursday at 11 a.m. First of all, good luck to you. I'm sure you'll do great. And great job. I have a job interview. So in this context, you wouldn't say appointment and you wouldn't even say meeting. If someone asks you, oh, do you have a meeting? You would say, no, I have a job interview. So it's an interview. So excellent sentence structure. Yeah, for my pet. Exactly. So an appointment with the vet for your pet. Excellent. Excellent. Very nicely done. Oh, Pazlak said, I have a headache today. So perhaps I should go to the doctor. Go to the doctor. Exactly. I would say the doctor. Now, the doctor is a specific doctor. For me, it's Dr. Sharma. So for you, the doctor is the one you normally go to. If you say a doctor, It means any doctor, whoever is available. And it doesn't matter who that person is. Oh, right. Please have a seat in the waiting room. Please have a seat in the waiting room. Please have a seat in the waiting room. Notice how there's generally a natural pause. Please have a seat in the waiting room because it divides. So you can absolutely add pauses to your speech to divide ideas. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, this one. So this could be a continuation of this one. Please have a seat in the waiting room. The doctor will see you shortly. The doctor will see you shortly. Now, grammatically, you know why it's the doctor because I just explained we use the for a specific doctor. If the receptionist said, Dr. Sharma will see you shortly, so the receptionist could absolutely use the name of the doctor, then you wouldn't say the Dr. Sharma, of course, because we don't use the with proper nouns. And saying Dr. Sharma, that is now a proper noun, so no article. The doctor, Dr. Sharma. Now, if the receptionist said, a doctor will see you shortly, that's possible. Maybe in this hospital or this facility, this clinic, there are many doctors available, and just whoever is finished first will see you. So you're not assigned a specific doctor for making things run faster. Just whoever is available goes into the room first. So that could be a doctor will see you shortly because you don't know which doctor. So it is possible that they would say that as well. Okay. The doctor will see you in no time. Yes, absolutely. Keep in mind, if the receptionist said this to me, I expect the doctor to be there very quickly. So saying something will happen in no time makes it sound like the doctor is going to be there very quickly. Okay, we'll see you shortly. It sounds like in a short period of time, but it doesn't sound as fast as in no time. Soonly is not a word. So you can say the doctor will see you soon. The doctor will see you soon, which I think is the equivalent to shortly. The doctor will see you soon. The doctor will see you shortly. Soonly is not a word. Okay. Awesome, everyone. This is interesting. The doctor will see you in a while. In a while. Now, this, I'd be like, what? Why? Because it sounds like it's a long time. So it's interesting. We have these different time expressions that students might think, oh, I can just use any one of these because you might learn them all in a YouTube lesson as alternative time expressions, but they actually communicate a very specific meaning. Like I said, in no time, that sounds very soon. Shortly or soon sounds like an average amount of waiting. And in a while, it sounds like the doctor is delayed. I might as well start working on something else because I'm going to be here for a while. So they communicate different things. Oh, this is really interesting. So, in the medical sense, we don't use the terminology of customer. A customer is used in a business context to represent the relationship between a buyer and a seller. Now, even though in most countries you do have to pay for medical treatment, you are a buyer and the hospital is a seller, we don't use that terminology of customer. In the medical context, they use the terminology, does anyone know? Patient. Patient. Yes, Kadif. Yes. So at the dentist, at the eye doctor, optometrist, at whatever doctor, whatever doctor it is, does not matter. They will say patient. So if you call and say, "Oh, I'd like to make an appointment," they might say, "Oh, are you a patient here? Are you a patient?" Exactly. Awesome job, everyone. Now, with your hair, you're not a patient because it's not medical. So you would just be a customer, or uh, they also use the terminology client. Client sounds like you have a more intimate relationship, because if you go to the same person for your hair every 8 weeks and you've been doing that for years, you have more of a relationship with that person. Customer sounds more transactional, and client sounds more like a relationship. Really interesting how these words have a meaning in them. Okay, everyone, let's keep going. Hopefully the receptionist says in no time. In no time. That would be my personal favorite, because I know it's happening soon. Very soon, I should add. Okay. How about this one? So the receptionist might say to you, "Is your information on file up to date? Is your information on file up to date? Is your information on file up to date? Is your information." First of all, this your can become more of an unstressed your. Is urine. So you can use this R to connect to the vowel sound. Is your information. Repeat after me. Is your information on file? Information on. So you can add this N to on. Is your information on file up to? This to will become unstressed because it's a preposition. Up to, up to, up to date, up to date. Now, here, because date ends the sentence and you naturally take a pause anyway, you can pronounce that T. Up to date. Up to date. Now, you have a file. So a file is a document with all your personal information, such as your address, your insurance, your phone number, your next of kin. So if there's an emergency, they call your next of kin. That would be the family that you add to the file, for example. And any of your patient information. So treatments you've had, medications that you've been prescribed, things like that. So we call that's your file, your file. Okay. So the preposition is on file, on file. And up to date means the most recent and the most current. So if you moved in the last 6 months, then your information is not the most recent or the most current, because it's your old address. Or if you've changed jobs, it's not up to date. If you have a new insurance provider, it's not up to date. If you have a new child, it's not up to date, right? You need to provide all of that information. Okay. Yeah. Updated is the most comparable. Updated. So I'm seeing a lot of different word choices that aren't really synonymous to be examples. So to be honest, you wouldn't say, "Is your personal data still actual?" You wouldn't say that. You would say, "Is your personal data up to date?" That's what you would say. Maybe still correct, but I would say still up to date, up to date. That's the language that they would use, up to date. Okay. Yeah, exactly. It's simply, is it correct or not? Like I said, if you change your address and they have an old address, then it's not correct. Yes, Ruslan, that's a great way of thinking of it. Let's talk about describing your symptoms. Now, first of all, think about the last symptom you had, and if you feel comfortable, you can make it up. If you don't want to share personal details, I understand. So feel free to make it up if you want, or think of someone else, a symptom that they've had, and describe a symptom. This is just to practice vocabulary. It's not because I want to know about your medical symptoms. Okay, so how about this one? Oh, well, first of all, this isn't a symptom, but now you've finally made it out of the waiting room and you're sitting in the doctor's office, finally. And the doctor says to you, "What brings you in today? What brings you in today?" There are many different things the doctor could say, but this is a very common one. What brings you in today? So this is another way of saying, why are you here? But a doctor would not say that, because that sounds too direct. It almost sounds like rude. Why are you here? So nobody would say that. So this same expression, a hairstylist could say this to you. Oh, what brings you in today? Oh, I just want to get a trim. So that's why I'm here, to get a trim, a small amount of hair cut off. So in this context, what brings you in today? Then you would describe your symptoms. Okay. What brings you? So notice this as we can link it, brings you, you. So it will sound like a voiced sound, brings you, brings you, brings you in, you in. So you might hear a little bit of a W sound to help glide the you in, you in, you in, you win. So it might sound like win, you win, you win, you win today. What brings you in today? What brings you in today? Yeah, exactly. What's the reason for coming or for being here? Exactly, exactly. Okay, Alexander, what problem has made you? So this is just too much of a direct translation. You wouldn't say too advertised to me. Maybe a doctor would say, so what problem brings you in today? Now, the doctor might make it plural. What problems bring you in today? What problems are you experiencing? There are other ways, but this wouldn't be one of them. But good try. Good try. Okay. So again, just naturally, what brings you in today? What brings you in today? What brings you in today? Very natural expression. Keep this in your vocabulary, because you don't need to use this just in a medical context. Like I said, for your hair, for your nails, for appointments with service providers, even if you bring your car into a garage, which is what we say for a mechanic. You bring your car to a mechanic into a garage and they can say, "Oh, what brings you in today?" "Oh, my engine is making this weird noise," or "My tires are deflated," whatever it might be. Okay. Yeah. And here's a reason why. "Oh, I have a backache. Oh, I have a backache." Oh, I like this one. "What seems to be the problem? What seems to be the problem?" That's a good one. I like that. And this could be used in a mechanic situation. You're talking to the mechanic. "Oh, what seems to be the problem with your car?" That's a good one. That's natural. Good job. "I have a sore throat." Yes, exactly. I have a sore throat. Exactly. Exactly. "I have a headache." "Oh, I have a headache." Okay, this Ruslan, If you use what, then you need to add with. What can I help you with? Okay. Otherwise, you would use how. How can I help you? How can I help you? How can I help you? What can I help you with? What can I do for you? That would be another one as well. All right. Ooh, I'm suffering. This is a good one. You can simply say I have, or you can use the verb suffer. In this case, the present continuous because it's taking place now. I'm suffering from severe back pain. Yeah, because severe obviously makes it sound more serious. So, doctors and medical professionals, they often ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, how severe is your pain? So 1 is the lowest and 10 is the highest. So severe back pain sounds like maybe an 8, 9, 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, I have a toothache. Exactly, exactly. I have a toothache. Very nice, very nice. Okay, what did I say? I have watery eyes. I like that one. I have watery eyes. Nice. Okay. I've had a high fever for 4 days. I've been taking Tylenol, but it hasn't gone down. This is a longer one because it'd be more realistic if a doctor asked you. You probably just wouldn't say, I have a fever. You probably give them more information, right? So I wanted this to sound like something I would naturally say to a doctor. I wouldn't just say, I have a fever. I would give that doctor information. I've had a high fever. So, high, remember on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe high is a 7, 8. I've had a high fever for 4 days. So notice we need four with a period of time, a duration of time. There's a start and an end. Since is used with a starting point in time. So since would be since Friday, since Saturday, since last Monday. It's a starting point in time. And this is in the present perfect. I've had. Yes, I could say I have a high fever. That's for right now, but I've had is the present perfect because I'm focusing on the fact it started in the past and continues until now. I've had a high fever for 4 days. Now, I'm going to give my doctor a little more information because if you have a fever, generally you don't go to the doctor, you just take Tylenol, which is the medicine that the brand name of the medicine that's ubiquitous in North America. I don't know what the equivalent would be for you. I don't know if Tylenol exists, but it's what's the medical ingredient? Acetaminophen, I think, is the medical ingredient. It reduces your fever, basically. I've been taking Tylenol. So notice this is in the present perfect continuous because we don't put the verb have to describe a state of being. We don't put that in the continuous form, but the verb take you can put in the continuous form. I've been taking Tylenol because I started taking Tylenol 4 days ago and I'm still taking Tylenol now. But the fever, it hasn't gone down. This is the present perfect in the negative to describe something that hasn't happened yet. It's an unfinished time reference, which is why this is in the present perfect, because it's still possible for the fever to go down. Yes, I'm burning up. So let's say you're a younger kid, okay? Maybe you're 10 years old or 12 years old, and you go to your parents and you say, "Oh, I don't feel very well." The first thing they'll probably do is feel your forehead. And then if you feel hot, like you have a fever, they'll say, "Wow, you're burning up. You're burning up." which sounds like you have a fever. Okay. You have a fever. It's great, great expression, Pazlak. Very natural. It's very much used. Okay, but the fever hasn't gone down. So to go down, of course, a high, I don't know what a high fever would be. Maybe 104. I don't know. 104, 105, 106. And then maybe that's too high. I'm not sure. And then to go down, obviously your temperature decreases. The number goes down to 101, 100, 99, 98. I don't even know what a normal temperature is, to be honest. I think it's in the high 90s, right? Maybe 97, 98. Someone let me know, what is our normal temperature of the human body? So 105 is too high. Thank you, Samira. Would that be like an extreme fever? I'm not sure. Okay, clearly I'm not a medical doctor. So this is a great thing you can say to a doctor, or you can just say to your friends, your boss. This could be the reason why you need to take the day off. So you will not go to work today. You take the day off and you tell your boss, "Oh, I've had a high fever for 4 days. I've been taking Tylenol, but it hasn't gone down. I need to stay home today." 98. Oh yeah, 98 degrees. That's the name of a band. Or it was a band. Was it 98 degrees? I think so. Something like that. 95, 98, 98 Fahrenheit. Oh, okay. 98 degrees. There you go. That's baseline, the normal temperature. Thank you, everyone. And yes, that's a great song, Temperature. I agree. It's a good song. All right. Next one. How about this? Again, I'm using the present perfect just because when you go to a doctor or you're describing symptoms, generally you need to give more information. So yes, you can say what you have. I have a cough. But you want to be more prescriptive. You want to give more information. I've had a persistent cough. What is a persistent cough? Who knows? What's the use of persistent? And again, the present perfect. So notice that I've had a, I've had a persistent cough. Now, remember I said since is for the starting point in time, since the beginning of last month. So this tells the doctor that, oh, okay, this is serious because it has been there for a long period of time. And it's getting worse. Oh, so again, giving more information to the doctor to justify why you're there. Nobody wakes up with a cough and goes to the doctor, right? You don't go to the doctor on the first day. Generally, it's because the symptoms are there for a while. You've tried some over-the-counter medicine. Over-the-counter means you don't need a prescription for it. So I can just walk into the pharmacy. In North America, you can get this at the grocery store as well, and just buy Tylenol or buy cough medicine. I don't need a prescription. So that's over the counter. Okay, and yes, persistent. We have some great synonyms. Unstoppable. Yeah, exactly. Continuous, consistent. Yeah, continuous. Continuous is a great one. Continuous. Yeah. And won't stop, like Hidaki said as well, unstoppable. It sounds like I've taken medicine. I've drunk a lot of tea with honey. I've slept a lot. It's been days, it's been weeks, and it's still here. So it won't go away. It won't go away. All right. And it's getting worse. It is getting worse because it's happening now. That's why that's in the present continuous. Now, to get worse, that is the verb, to get worse. So get is that transition from one state to another state. Okay. So it's maybe right now it's bad and then very bad. So it's transitioning. So that's get worse. It's getting worse. My fever is getting worse. My back pain is getting worse. Now you can do the opposite, is getting better. Oh, my backache is getting better. My fever is getting better. I'm getting better. So you can use both of those as well. All right. And hopefully you use getting better. Let's keep going. How about this? Remember, you're describing your symptoms to a doctor or medical professional. Yesterday, my vision suddenly became blurry in one eye. I'll say it fast. Yesterday, my vision suddenly became blurry in one eye. Now, let's talk about some pronunciation here. Yesterday, my vision. So, nothing going on there. Yesterday, my vision. There's no linking. Suddenly became, no linking. Suddenly became blurry, no linking. So now blurry in one eye. So you may have noticed linking generally takes place when one word starts with a vowel sound, but it also depends on what the last word ends with. So here we have a vowel, Y, to another vowel, I. Blurry in, blurry in. So I can just use that Y, that Y sound, yin. So instead of in, it sounds like yin, 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 blurry in. Blurry in one eye. Now remember, this looks like a vowel, but what's the pronunciation? One. It's a W. It's the same as we won the game, which is spelled W-O-N. So the linking and pronunciation changes don't take place based on spelling. They take place on pronunciation. One, in one. That's why there isn't a linking between this N and here, because the sound is W. In one eye. One. And so the end is actually on N, one eye. So I add this N sound because the E is silent for pronunciation. So I add the N to I. Exactly. Thank you for spelling that, because this is how it sounds. It ends on the N. One nigh, nigh. So this I sounds like nigh, nigh. Yeah. Thank you, Hidaki. In one nigh. Maybe I would keep that O for one, one nigh, nigh, nigh. But everything else, that looks very phonetic to me. Okay, great job. Okay, so my vision. So you have your senses, right? Sense of smell, sense of sight. That's your sense. But then your ability to see, we call that vision. Vision. So you can say, I have 20/20 vision, which is I believe, the highest vision available for humans, the best vision. So you don't wear glasses if you have 20/20 vision, right? So that would be vision. So vision, my vision suddenly became blurry. So if your vision is blurry, just imagine the resolution on this screen is like 380 or something, just really low resolution. There's lots of lines through it. You can't see my face clearly. That would be blurry, blurry. So you can use this to describe a photo. You can say, oh no, the photo I took is blurry, is blurry. So you can't see everything clearly. Okay. So blurry in one eye. So either this eye or this eye, but not both. So this isn't the most specific. It would probably be better if I said in my left eye, in my right eye. So that would be more specific, because then the doctor's just going to say, well, which eye? Which eye? Your left eye, or your right eye, right? So I could have been more precise with this. All right. And suddenly it means like right now I'm working and I can see perfectly, and then I can't see. So it wasn't gradual where every day it seems to be getting a little worse, a little worse. It was like this. So that's suddenly, in an instant, suddenly, suddenly. Okay. Yeah, exactly. You can use blurry with low quality of an image, video as well. Yes, and blurry is what you can use with your eyes, so your vision. All right. Okay, so this is something you could say to your doctor. I'll say it one more time fast. Yesterday, my vision suddenly became blurry in one eye. Okay. Yeah, for sure. You can say, instead of in two eyes, I would just say in my eyes. Because if you use eyes plural, I only have two eyes, right? So there's no need to say in two eyes. No need. You would say just in my eyes. Or I just wouldn't say that. I would just say my vision suddenly became blurry. So I would just be general and not specify. Or alternatively, I would say in both of my eyes, in both of my eyes, in my eyes, or just simply my vision without specifying the one eye. Okay, let's keep going. How about this? So this is something you would say to a doctor. Now remember, doctor is a general term. There are specialists. So what is the name of the medical specialist that deals with eyes? So a medical doctor, but for your eyes. Who knows the name of this? So you can put it in the comments. And what about a medical doctor that you might go to because of your skin? All right. Because here, let me read this. There's a strange rash spreading across my arms and chest. Ooh. Okay. So arms, notice arms is plural. So it means both. I don't have to say my two arms because I only have two, right? So I would just say my arms and chest. So it would be from here, here. Now, what is a rash? A rash is when you have red on your skin. It could be bumps on your skin, red bumps, things like that. That would be a rash. And strange, by saying strange, it means that you don't know why it's there. Maybe you get rashes, because some people get rashes if their skin is sensitive to laundry detergent, to strong smells, for example. So you may know why you have a rash, or you were hiking and you touched a lot of leaves. So you may know why you have a rash, because you were hiking in the woods and you touched a lot of leaves, which can be poisonous to the human skin. But if you say strange, it sounds like you don't know why it's there. Okay, so the doctor for this is an optometrist. 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 I see a lot of weird spellings of this. Optometrist. Optometrist. Okay. And then the doctor for this one, for your skin, is dermatologist. The skin is called derma. I believe it's derma. It could be dermin or something like that, but derma in, I guess, Latin. So that's where the word origin comes from. I believe that sounds correct to me, but don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. Dermatologist. So dealing with your skin. All right. Okay. Yeah, derma. Yay, I got it right. Derma. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, so maybe every fall or every spring you get a rash. So because of allergies. So you wouldn't say it's a strange rash because you get it every year. So it just sounds like you don't understand the origin, you don't know why you don't usually get rashes, for example. That's why you would add strange in here. And now, if it's spreading, it means it's getting worse. Okay. So maybe it started here and then now it's here. And then a few days later, it's here. A few more days, it's here. And then I see another area here. So that's what spreading means. Spreading. Okay. I'll say this fast. There's a rash, there's a strange rash spreading across my arms and chest. So you'll hear a voiced sound. There's za. So it sounds like za. There's a strange rash spreading. Now, transitioning from an SH, which is like this, shh, shh, that's the SH, shh, 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 to an S is difficult in English for native speakers. Okay, so certain sound combinations create natural tongue twisters. For me personally, SH to S is a natural tongue twister. I have difficulty with it. So whenever words are difficult to pronounce, you can add just a purpose pause. So a pause on purpose. Rash spreading. So I'm going to fully pronounce rash and then I will say spreading. Rash spreading. Rash spreading. Rash spreading. Because otherwise the sounds might get mumbled together. But my goal is to make that pause as quick as possible. Okay? Rash spreading. So I can practice it far away. Rash spreading, but I want to get it as small as I can. There's a strange rash spreading across. So when I'm in that G position, spreading, my tongue's curled up. So when I say the A, I'm just going to release my tongue from the G. Spreading. So you can probably see my tongue there. Practice that. Across, spreading across my arms. And so we have an S here with an A, arms and chest. Now this and can just be pronounced as an So when you say coffee and tea, coffee and chocolate, coffee and milk, coffee and sugar, whatever it is, instead of saying coffee and tea, you can just say coffee and arms and chest, arms and chest. Okay. Spreading, if it helps you to think of it as continuous, then feel free to do that. It means it's getting worse. It's moving from one area to another. So it's getting bigger, or it's also expanding in the space it takes. That would be spreading. Yeah, great job writing that out. Spreading across. Spreading across. Exactly. Very nice. A rash and itchy, no, they do not have the same meaning. So a rash describes the area that is red and potentially has bumps. Bumps. Someone said like pimples. So that's a good way of thinking of it. So you would just look at it and say, that's a rash. That's a rash. Okay. Itchy is when you go like this. Oh, itchy. My rash is so itchy. So itchy is that feeling, that sensation that you need to scratch. So right now I'm scratching my arm because my arm is itchy. Okay. Now, some rashes are itchy, but I don't think it's a requirement. I think you can have a rash that is not itchy, but it's very common for rashes to also be itchy. But no, they're not the same thing. Okay, great question. Let's keep going. Let's talk about medication and treatment. This doctor, it almost looks like he's like like gasping at your chart, which is not what you want your doctor to do at all. You don't want to see this face when you're talking to your doctor. But maybe he's just contemplating. I don't know. To me, it's like he's gasping at it, which I don't like. How about this? The doctor will say to you, I'll write you a prescription. I'll write you a prescription. So if you have a rash or if you have a very high fever, maybe you need a prescription for a certain medication with stronger ingredients. Remember, I said over the counter. If you can get a medication over the counter, it means that you do not need a prescription. But generally, there's only limited medical ingredients and the strength of those ingredients that you can get without a prescription. So if you need something stronger or certain types of medications require a prescription, right? I don't know what it's like in your country, but I imagine it's the same thing. Over the counter means you do not need a prescription. So that's a really good one. Let me write this. You can get this over the counter, which means you don't need a prescription. Okay. So I'll just show you. You can get this over the counter. So maybe there's a cream that the doctor wants you to take for your rash, right? And then he says to you, you can get this over the counter, which means you can go to the pharmacy or you can go to the grocery store in North America and you can just buy it along with your eggs, your bread, your milk. You can just buy it. You do not need a prescription, okay? That's over the counter, over the counter, over the counter. So it's the opposite of a prescription. Now, if you cannot get it over the counter, the doctor will say to you, I'll write you a prescription. So they use the terminology write you because they actually write it out on a piece of paper. And then they either give you that piece of paper and then you give that piece of paper to the pharmacist, okay? Or the doctor will give that piece of paper to the receptionist and the receptionist will send it to the pharmacist electronically, right? Either one of those will happen. So that's why the doctor says, I'll write you a prescription. Now, it's possible they might say, I'll give you I'll give you a prescription, but it's very common to use the verb write. I'll write you a prescription. And notice this is in the future simple, the future simple, because the doctor is using it for an action that they're doing now, but it's a spontaneous action. So in that exact moment, the doctor says, I'll write you a prescription. The doctor didn't plan to do this yesterday or days ago. So it's a spontaneous action, which is why it's in the future simple. Oh, this is interesting. Manuel said in the US, you can get medicine that in Europe, you would need a prescription for. Yeah. And I'm sure, all of this, it's regulated generally by the government or by some sort of association. And those groups or bodies, government bodies or association bodies, they determine what is available over the counter or what requires a prescription. Yeah, I know. It's funny to think that I don't even know if doctors still actually write it out. I'm sure they probably just fill out a form that is directly sent to a pharmacy, but I don't know. I'm healthy. Thankfully, I'm healthy. I don't require prescriptions. The last time I had a prescription from a doctor was many years ago. So I don't know if they actually still manually write it out. That's interesting. Okay, yes, and a prescription is a written official permission to get a medicine. Exactly. Great job. That's the perfect definition of what a prescription is.
Amazing job with this lesson. Do you want to keep learning natural vocabulary? If you do, put let's go in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.